Yep.
And then we got another legend from the Big Ten, another Minnesota legend, but finished his career on the other side of the river. Jordan Taylor, what's up, bro?
What's up, man? Appreciate you having me. And I'll just add that I finished my career on the right side of the river.
Oh,
You
the
know what
right
I'm
side, not on the other
See,
side.
man, he already came in the wrong way.
if
Hey,
we
we
talking if pause if we talking Big Ten if we talking Big Ten, you know what I'm saying? Then yeah,
if we talking Big Ten, then yeah, that might be right. That might be right. That might be a topic we might have to even jump into here a little bit. But I'm glad both of y'all jumped on here. Let's just talk a little bit about hoops. We're gonna talk a little bit college hoops. Maybe talk a little bit about that recruiting stuff you're talking about. Which side of the river these kids should be going to. And then a little debates on just some hot basketball topics. I mean, anybody in the basketball community knows people are just starting to lose it now. So they're on Twitter saying anything. So it's just time to talk a little bit about some of these hot takes
facts.
and justify some of them. A lot of people call Damian Johnson the Minnesota Skip Bayless with some of the takes he has. So I'm glad
Please don't
we're
put me on that
live
hot take
just in
list.
case we get him caught up. That's why I brought Jordan. But the first thing I want to talk about, man, and this is an interesting topic. It was a tweet from Dame the other day, and there's actually a trigger. Like, let's just get them both on. Damian talked about this transfer portal has been really hot lately. And he's talking about a lot of these high major coaches, so your Big Tens, your Big 12, your SECs, and they've been really, Damian's term, poaching from these mid-major schools and going and getting a lot of these guys that 2 or 3 years ago, when they were in high school, they weren't even getting heads turned by high major coaches. And I know we all kind of had a few thoughts on this, but damn, I wanted you just to jump in a little more since it was your tweet. What exactly were you meaning by that? Give a little context to it.
Oh, I was just looking at it like, man, you see everybody that hit the portal, and they coming from schools that's like, just in these, not even mid major. Sometimes they coming from low major schools. Next thing you know, you look at their list, man, they got Kentucky's, Kansas's, and just these big schools where it's like, man, how do you go from not getting, barely getting a low major offer to going to a blue blood? And it just made me, I just felt like I had to say something because it really doesn't make sense. But you can see that a lot of schools, I mean, it's an easy way to get somebody with experience. Like, I feel high majors what they're doing, but I feel like it's almost kind of lazy because you're not doing the development process in your own program and stuff. So I was looking at it more like, man, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm with you. I think I'm from the camp. I'm off. Like I see Kendall. I see you on Twitter, and I'm with you. I know you're pretty like pro player optionality or pro player having the option, which I'm completely with. But I think it's a slippery slope in terms of where they're going with this transfer portal stuff because it effectively makes you know it effectively is going to turn these Kentucky Dukes and all them programs into like the Lakers and Celtics. They really gonna have dynasty because they really it's free agency at this point. And it's like the NCAA is not perfect. It's a flawed system. But you have a problem with all these people acting like the NCAA is criminal and they're just exploiting and this, that, and the third, which I mean maybe to a degree, but I think you're gonna look up at one point and like what Dame said, all this poaching going on, people are gonna be really upset and the game is gonna become ruined. The NCAA is not gonna be what we knew it as 10 years from now. It's gonna be a professional sport, which is not what the NCAA is designed to be. I mean, there are things they can fix, but it's a slippery slope in terms of letting guys take this pay and transfers and letting Coach Cal already. Come on, man, he's not getting the best recruiting class at UMass, Memphis, Kentucky.
Whoa,
Like
whoa, whoa.
not doing that above board. Like I'm sorry, I love Coach Cal. I love what he does for the game, and especially for black athletes, I love what I love what he brings to the table. But I think you're naive if you think all that is, if it's above board, and this probably gonna make it worse.
I say you could look at a UMass and Memphis, but let's slow it down on Kentucky because he at Kentucky. Kentucky gonna get you could get the top players in Kentucky no matter
Well,
what.
I'm just saying, like, yeah, he went from UMass to like obviously Kentucky, but even Kentucky was not getting them guys before he got there.
But they had Coach Gillespie and Coach Smith weren't they can't sell like Coach Cal could sell.
They, what?
Man,
Listen,
Gillespie had a
yes,
mutiny. Like his
you
whole
can't
team had
sell.
left at two different programs, so he ain't gonna sell like like Coach Cal could sell, man.
They not selling. They selling two different products. They in two different industries. That's the problem.
I'm just saying.
One
Imagine
one
so
selling diamonds, the other selling dirt. I don't know. You
and
can't
and,
compete with
and
that.
Coach Cal the one selling the diamonds. You got Drake coming to practice right fresh off his mixtape. You know what I mean?
Right,
So it's a whole different
right,
thing.
right. Diamonds are illegal, and they're supposed to be illegal in this industry, though. So, but I
Yeah.
don't honestly. I have no problem with that. I think it's dope. I think Coach Cal, him and dudes like Rick Barnes, everything they stand for, I think it's dope. I mean, they are straight up. I don't think it's always necessarily the right approach for everybody, but for the kids that they get, is hey, come on, I want you here for a year and get up out of here.
Bro, it's all that matters. I mean, it's not all that matters, but it's so big. It gets
Yeah,
them prepared, and they put them in a situation. Pretty much every coach promises what Coach Cal does, but
right.
Coach Cal's really the one that's doing it, and he's not hiding what he's saying to people.
Man,
Fact.
let's stop it with the Coach Cal. You know why I don't like it? Because we don't nobody talk about Coach Cal at Duke doing it, and it's one and done central now. And they've been having one and dones even before one and dones became popular.
Who?
Coach K
Like
wasn't
Blue All
for that.
Day?
Coach K
Man,
wasn't
Lou
for
Will
the one
Dame
and
for a
done thing,
minute,
though.
what was a year or two, and then he was out of that thing.
Listen, when you a blue blood, you're gonna attract one and dones, but that wasn't Coach K's thing.
He
And
won, yeah, exactly.
and
You know when it became his
we
thing when he started losing the
we had
Lehighs
ties.
and start losing the VCUs and the dance.
Man,
That's
watch
when it
out.
became his thing.
This man was winning national championship. Think about all the national championships Coach K won. When did they win? They won in what, 92, 2010,
Mm-hmm.
2000, 2001. How many one and done guys? I mean, he's won what, 5? How many times did he win with one and done guys?
When your boy Tyus was there, that's when the one it does start. You saw that was
One
One
the
time.
time,
blueprint,
tires. That's it.
One time.
bro.
I
You
mean, the
can't
one.
tell me Coach K it didn't change his whole style of recruit because
No, he
even
has now.
then he
He
was
has
going
now.
for top players, but he wasn't going for players that was looking to get for players that had NBA goals right away. He was going for players that could possibly be there for 2 or 3 years
No, I
before
don't
the
think
All
his
American.
recruiting style changed that much, bro. Because if you look at the players now, that's just how they all thinking in general, bro. Coach K
Man, you
always
telling
be
me
going
John
after the blue
Shire?
blood type players.
We had Tyus on yesterday, and he was talking about how Coach K recruited him,
Mm-hmm.
and he talked about how Coach K just kept it real, and he's like, "This is what you got to work on. This is what you have to get better at. This is what you have to expect when you get here." That's not to say that Coach K isn't like, listen, he knows them dudes are going to the league, but the approach is still different. Like Coach K is more of a coach's coach, whereas Cal is more of like a seller. Cal's a smooth talker. Cal's a guy who's like, Cal's a gangster.
Yeah,
And I don't
Man,
mean that in a bad way. Cal
Coach
and
K
like
is a
dudes like
gangster too,
Patino.
though.
Coach K come from the military too, though. Different
Yeah,
background.
I
Coach.
don't know. I feel like Coach K get that. Everybody let Coach K get away with it, but he's out here. He copied Coach Calipari's blueprint, and he's using it to his own advantage, and
He
everybody letting it go.
he had. I don't think they letting it go. He has. I still think the approach. Like I really believe from anybody I've talked to that Duke family stuff is real.
I
Like
can believe that though.
and the way he had, like, you wouldn't see the way, even the year Coach when they won with Tyus, you still had another blue blood recruit in Quinn Cook who was there for 4 years. You had a dude who, and he was him and Tyus are like, I mean, from what I know, they like this. Whereas Kentucky, you still don't see that element. It's always, listen, you in, you out. Who's next? You in, you out. It's a factory.
You kind of see it though. You
Like
can
it's an
see
assembly
sometimes some
line.
dudes chopping. You can see them chopping it up over social media or this and that. Like some of them Kentucky dudes from the past. I don't seen cards any times when they play boogie. They have that Kentucky competitive type. It's a whole different feel when you see those
No,
dudes
but
play
they
each other
didn't.
too.
But they didn't play together though. Like there's gonna be
True.
somewhat of a brotherhood. Like it's like y'all in Minnesota. Like you probably look, if you see Dan Oturo, you probably wishing him good things. Like especially if you was in the league and he going to the league, you probably like, all right, we'll talk. But it's not like when you're there, you still have guys there overlapping at the same time, creating this bond, like playing
Nah, I
together.
get
You
what you're
don't
saying.
have at Kentucky.
Nah, I
So
get
it's
what you're
like,
saying.
That's
But
real.
I just
One of the
think we
things I
got
see with Coach
him in
K
the
too,
past.
though,
Huh?
is one of the things I see with that brotherhood thing. I feel like with Coach K is like on the EYBL circuit, bro. Y'all probably see it. All his assistant coaches, John Shire, Cable. It's
fact,
all people that's been there.
fact.
Cable, Wojs, that's at Marquette. Like he's doing stuff like that and bringing them in, develop them that route, and I feel like that's a big thing. You know what I mean?
Nah, facts. I mean, I think Coach Cal does a good job. Not to keep comparing them too, But yeah, I mean, Coach K definitely like he said Shire's. What you said, Shire's there now, and you know they
Nolan
definitely.
Smith was there last summer. I saw him
Nolan
with the
Smith
Duke
was
thing.
there. Matter of fact, Nolan Smith, I think he was overseas, I think, and he came back, and I didn't even know he left overseas. I looked up, he was on the Duke bench. I'm
Yeah,
like, yo,
yeah,
hold on, wait a minute.
right.
Which is, I think that's dope because you don't even get that. Like in Minnesota, you saw they got a coaching opening, right? And I think on Twitter, Trev was like, "Oh, let me get the opening." Some dude was like, "Yeah, maybe you'll be a grad assistant."
Right,
Really? Like, why I gotta be a grad assistant? like,
bro, exactly.
like, nah, I'm 30 years old. I gotta be a grad assistant. Like, nah.
That's one thing I give to Coach K though. He does look out for his players after they're done because one of his coaches, he coached at Marquette now, and he was one of my coaches at the G League, Coach Carrawell.
Chris
He played at
Carrawell, he from St.
yeah,
Louis.
yep. He played at Duke with Coach K, and then Coach K had him on staff before he went to Marquette. So it's like he take care of his players. He always add his players to his staff. He really just training up a whole bunch of the next set of coaches that's gonna take over in the NCAA.
For
Right.
sure. Hey, but Dane, what's your thoughts on that transfer portal? Because Jordan, I mean, I understand what you're saying. The free agency, like it is a slippery slope with it. And you know my stance. I just hate how much of a stronghold the NCAA has. That's just my biggest stance. So it's like, how do we like find a little middle ground? But what you think, Dane, on the transfer?
But I think the best thing they can do is that once they got to just pass a one-time waiver. Now we don't have to go through the portals. We don't have to go like you get the one-time free transfer and go from there. Because if you get it, I mean, I think the thing with the portal is a lot of kids are waiting for waivers too, and then they know, all right, if I transfer my second year of college, in about 2 years, if I need to transfer again, I'm gonna be good to go with that grad transfer and get another year for immediate eligibility. So it's just like I think we just got to do the one time waiver and go from there. I still kind of like the grad transfer because then you can't say it's about student athletes to be like the kids just go from school to school not receiving all their credit. So at least with the grad transfer, you got to graduate and finish everything before you can transfer to the next spot.
You gotta there's a whole set of rules too that I don't even know. I don't know the NCAA rules, but they have to at this point they have to put in place tampering laws or tampering rules.
Got to.
And
Yeah.
that's I don't know if they have that or I would imagine they're prepared for that. But like it's just not. I think one thing that gets lost with the NCAA, and again, I'm all for. I love everything about player optionality, but one thing that people I think overlook sometimes is that progress isn't always a good thing. Like not all progress is good. And there's gonna be so I think even with this money thing, like I think it's gotta be the end of the line. Like let these kids go get paid off their likeness and that's it. But you already know people gonna keep coming back. Like 10 years from now, it's gonna be, oh well, we're not making enough off our likeness. We need this, we need a check, like the automatic, you know what I'm saying? Like he's making too much.
Yeah.
It's always gonna be people to complain about something. So like it's and I love the NCAA and but it's I mean I think they are crooks to a degree. They getting over for sure, but I just be careful what you wish for, man, because it
The
still has
likeness at
created a
least
lot
is
of
a good step.
opportunity. You said what?
The likeness at least is a good step though, as far as like man, I don't care about. I wasn't tripping about getting paid or not, but something like jersey sales in a bookstore or something simple as like being having that video game being on there. Everybody should at least got a little touch a little piece of the pie, and that's not even giving up much.
Right,
And like
right.
they have a deal with EA because I need the NCAA football game back in my life, bro. I ain't been
For real.
gaming and been the same since. So they got
I
to
think
cut a
I
deal
mean
with
it's a
EA.
good step. I think it should be like one of the like he said for now the final step for a while
Yeah.
because like
For a
you said
while.
if you keep going like because when you talk likeness, bro, you're talking sponsorships, partnerships. Like that's a whole industry worth something. So like it's gonna take so much and like so much trial and error. I feel like they need to give that because I do agree. Because some people, man, like if you don't hoop, I mean, Dame, like you knew, like I didn't play 1 minute for like 3 years, but I was able to grow a brand off the court and like what I did. And there are people in college that should be able to even get the little minimum, especially here in Minnesota with some of the companies, whatever it may be. Who knows what it'll be? But as far as getting paid salary stuff, and no, man, I like I had too many classes about Title IX. I know it's way too much that's gonna go into that. Like that can't even be an option for a long time, I don't think.
Right. The one thing that I do like about it that could potentially happen is at some of these smaller schools, especially you see these coaches really fighting, kind of going into business with their players to a degree. You know what I'm saying? Like, because they're the ones working their network, being with sponsors, whether they get them free cars and all that. So I would hope they're looking out for their players because like you said, to kind of deter. If you're Nate Walters at South Dakota State. South Dakota State's a small school. Nate probably could transfer to Kentucky after 2 years or something like
Yep.
that. But now, how do you entice Nate to stay? Now you got to
Yeah.
go talk to the dudes that you've been talking to over at and I use I don't want to put any names, but like Sanford is a huge hospital in South Dakota. I got to go get Nate on the Sanford commercial. I got to go get him on the Buick commercial.
Like car dealership or something.
Yeah, so I would hope that it would inspire coaches to really start kind of working for their players even more so, and kind of lose some of the, not to say all coaches are selfish, but lose some of the selfish um, narrative that I guess they have around college coaching.
Bro, yeah, all that. I feel like it's going to be a whole lot of educational stuff that's going to even have to be changed, like for athletes. Like, even at Arizona State, I know they're doing stuff more so for athletes, where it's like athlete like stuff that they're involved in and they're doing, or if even with this major or something like that. But if they're getting into partnerships and sponsorships, there's going to be a whole nother curriculum as far as financials and financial literacy and stuff. Because I mean, we can give them their likeness. Then what they're going to do? Go to Dinky Town and
Man, it's
I
gonna
this
be
gonna
would
come
sure
with a
blow.
whole
If I
lot
went
of
to
other
college, I
stuff.
would have been blowing mine. I mean,
Oh,
splurge.
Blornis would have sponsored me for
I
sure.
would have been sponsored by Blarneys.
So I would have had everything good. Every time I walk in, I'm good. My whole table good at Florida.
It's
Yeah, no,
Florides though.
it's, it's interesting. But hey, I wanted to talk about another topic. Great topic with somebody like Jordan Taylor on here. We talking a little bit about recruiting, talking a little bit about, it could be, for a good example, since we're in the state, Minnesota, the topic of in-state recruiting. Fans get super mad. I don't really know why. I'm not from here, so I have no allegiance. I'm just outside looking in, but people get mad about in-state recruiting or wherever it's in Wisconsin. I'm sure maybe you've heard of Wisconsin guys and that, and I'm sure it's in all states. But this
Yeah.
in-state recruiting thing, man, like, is it a big deal, Jordan? That's all I want to ask. Is it a big deal? You're
Man,
someone that left and went to quote unquote the right side of the river. Like, what's the big deal? And should we be worried?
Man,
Everybody.
I got this is one of my favorite topics, honestly, because it's so. I think for Minnesotans, it's like it's such a sensitive topic because you see all these dudes leave and do well, and Minnesota is a gold mine in the sense that it's the only Division I basketball and football program in the state.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not. I don't think it's a huge deal if you lose out on an in-state recruit. Say like Trevor went to Marquette, I went to Wisconsin, whatever. Anthony Tucker goes to Iowa, but it's a big deal when it's like you're not even in the top four for these kids. Like even Tyus Jones was not going to Minnesota. He has Duke. You cannot go to Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa if you have Duke on the table.
No.
But at the same time, like he's not even thinking about y'all. And it's like Wisconsin. And I will say about Wisconsin, like we lose out on guys like Tyler Harrow, Jalen Johnson, those type of kids. But they publicly say, I want to go to Wisconsin. I just don't want to play in the swing because I want to get to the. They just don't think Wisconsin is the program that's going to get them to the league. So Wisconsin still has this brand in the state of Wisconsin that it is a Badger state. Like, and the Gophers, everybody knows the Gopher state. But that's just because there's no other options. I'm genuinely scared for y'all with St. Thomas going into the Summit League because I think St. Thomas could turn into a Marquette type program, especially with someone like John Tower running. Everybody in Minnesota loves him. Minnesota State's trying to get like these splash hires, which is not a bad thing. Coutinho's done an all right job, but it's just like I feel like Minnesota is a state culturally where they would be better served to kind of have someone who really cares about Minnesota as a coach and have some Minnesota faces as part of the program. It's just that's just how Minnesota is culturally. You know what I'm saying? It's a homer state. Everybody knows everybody. It's a cliquey state. So I'm sure y'all have experienced that. I'm sure you'll go in groups, and it's not that they're bad people, but it's just like they don't know you. So
Right.
it's like right away, you have to really work your way into the circle. So the way Minnesota's set up, like you have to be able to at least compete for some of these guys. And I thought it was going to turn when Royce and Rodney came. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. But you have to have some of those guys, and that's not even to say like having a guy like Dame or yourself, like y'all are really good players. Is just in this state, I feel like you have to get to some of these in-state guys or compete for them.
I'm gonna say though, what you said about some of them 5 stars saying that Wisconsin offense stuff, I feel like that's cap. Just because, fam, Sam Decker was a first round. You could still be a first. They don't have many first round picks from Wisconsin running that
Facts.
swing offense. So you can't act them saying that is cap to me because I could look at it now. If a Minnesota kid say that, I could agree because we don't get nobody drafted here. But Wisconsin kids saying that, it just sounds like it's something good to say to the media to make it so you don't get your home state hating you for going to a different school.
Tyler Harrow was committed to Wisconsin. Vander Blue
Yes.
committed to Wisconsin. Jalen Johnson didn't. But these dude, Tyler Hero, decommitted to go to Kentucky. And like people were mad, but it's Kentucky. Like he wasn't gonna be a one and done at Wisconsin. That's
Yeah.
not cap. And so I don't think that is necessarily. I don't think it's cap just because these dudes are committing there, and then I think people are like, oh, well, if you wanted, like Vander Blue would text me every day when I was in college. Oh man, I want to go to the league. Will coach let me do this? Will coach? And I was like, yo, you might have to pay your dues. Like you might, I don't know what you're gonna do freshman year, but sophomore year you're gonna play a lot. Blah blah blah. Whoop de whoop. And that just wasn't what he was trying to do. And Josh Gasser came in and started every game for 4 out of the 5 years that he was there, and the only year he didn't when he was hurt. But so, like these dudes would, if Wisconsin would start playing, and I think it is capped in the sense that you can get to the league running the swing,
Yeah.
but there is a narrative that you can't, and it slows you down, and you're not going to be a one and done. You're going to have to wait 3 years. And nowadays, like Kendall said, these kids don't want to wait 3 years, man. They trying to get to the money. They trying to get to the league.
For sure,
So
especially somebody like Jalen Johnson. Like I
and
saw him
Tyler
on the
Hero, yeah.
circuit, and Tyler Hero too. They was on the Nike circuit. Like everybody in that circuit, that's anybody. They getting fed a lot of stuff in their ears, bro.
100%, 100%. And Wisconsin is not the place to be a one and done. That's just a fact. And
Not
there's
at all.
nothing wrong with that. I mean, so Minnesota, as far as it would be another thing if y'all was recruiting the way you did and then winning. But y'all are a semi-struggling program in terms of like where y'all should be, especially when I was growing up and Bobby Jackson was here and you had
Oh, it froze on us.
Right, yeah. We gonna leave when he come back on. It's gonna be his phone might have died though. You know how that be. Um,
Yeah.
we're gonna cut him on and keep going with Bobby Jackson. I'm just gonna keep rolling for a little bit. Um,
I like what he was saying is true. I can't wait till we get him back on so I can
he
go
back
into
on. He
it
back
a
on.
little more.
He
Oh,
back
he
on.
back?
Yeah, he already back. Damien.
Yeah, cause
so my fault.
man,
Well, then
I
let him
just
keep going, Damien. Keep going. You was talking about Bobby Jackson, Jordan.
Yeah, my fault. It's recording. We good?
yeah, you
All right.
still on there?
Yeah, so like when I was growing up, it was Bobby Jackson, but you still had Quincy Lewis, you had Sam Jacobson, and Sam was, I don't know how many guys they actually had from Minnesota. I can't remember, but I mean, I think Trevor Winter might have been from Minnesota. But either way, you had a couple guys from Minnesota and you was winning, but nobody, the best players on them teams were not from Minnesota. But you still had a couple guys from Minnesota, and it was just, and even prior to that with Walter Bond and all that, like it's got to be a balance unless you're winning, and Minnesota has no reason to not be winning games in the Big Ten.
Exactly. And they losing a lot of guys. I think the big thing you've been seeing, I mean, this year they potentially have like 4 dudes that could go first 40 picks in the draft, but none of them like are from Minnesota. Like the only one would be Dan, and he's a different one. Like so, I think they seeing dudes go get success at schools that's not Duke.
Right, right.
I
So
mean,
it's
a lot of them do though. If it's about how you recruit here too, because a lot of them dudes like Zeke kind of blew up at the end of his junior year for AAU. If we'd have started recruiting them earlier, you never know. We don't recruit. We didn't recruit kids early before. I feel like the last 4 or 5 years we missed out on people because we got in too late, and we let them build in on relationships. And then they got to certain kids, they just not coming here to me. Like some of the kids that's going to Wisconsin, I don't think no matter what, like the Lakeville North kids, some of those kids, I don't think none of those kids would ever came to you anyway. I think they were more, they just thought it played like that in Lakeville North. You know, the only one I say is JP, and we should have went after him because he was nice. I don't know how you can't just watch him play and think he was nice from the first time you see him, but I feel like a lot of those kids going to Wisconsin. I told you that before, Jordan. I think a lot of those kids going to Wisconsin regardless.
But Wisconsin has created this brand that we win a lot of games, and I mean we do, but we've gotten over that to the Final Four, to the hump a couple times. But if Minnesota, in my opinion, if Minnesota didn't botch the way they handled that Clem Haskins situation, all them kids, Tyus Jones would be considering going to Minnesota. You know, if y'all are going to the Final Four, going to the Sweet 16, going to the Elite Eight, like I guarantee you that every kid from Minnesota and some of those blue bloods kids too would at least look at it and be like, damn, like I at least gotta consider it. Like, how do you if you got Rashad Vaughn and Tyus Jones in the same class and Minnesota going to Sweet 16s, them two gonna look at each other and be like, we gonna have a 30 for 30 on us in 10 years if we take this to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
But at the
Like
same
you see
time, the
how
Rashad
excited
Vaughn,
Tyus was. Tyus it was ecstatic when he became a Timberwolf. Why would it be any different for him being a Gopher?
because you're getting paid $1 million.
But it's about he loves Minnesota though. Like a lot of
I feel you
Minnesota
though.
kids that grow up here love Minnesota.
Now
They
Ty's
really
a
love it
kid
here.
that definitely loves Minnesota. He is Minnesota if you look at just his resume and everything. But the thing about that is like you can't turn down the Duke, man. Like realistically, I know Daniel turned down Kansas, and you might have one of those outliers, but it's rare that those outliers are going to turn down the Duke or Kentucky because like a kid like Tyler Hero, he's not a one and done kid, but him going to Kentucky turned him into a one and done player.
Well, he was a
And
one and done. I mean, that's why he went because they was talking about him being one and done. Like he kind of skyrocketed.
but if he goes to a school like I don't think he's gonna get that same exposure going to Wisconsin or Minnesota
He
compared
could
to
have.
like
No, I mean Sam
Kentucky.
Decker wasn't that. I don't think he was like as highly even touted as a Tyler Hero, was he, Jordan?
No, I think Sam was just Sam. When I was doing, Sam was an incoming freshman as I was leaving, and I had guys in my NBA workouts asking me about Sam, like the
He had
Pistons, and
potential.
so
Yeah.
Sam. I don't know if Sam was McDonald's. I can't remember,
Yeah,
but
he was McDonald's. He was a
Well, I
Marist though.
remember Tyler was he was snubbed. He was pissed.
so
Yeah,
Tyler didn't get into McDonald's.
Pissed.
that's what
Like
I'm
he
Really?
went
saying.
to
Like one and
social
done don't
media.
even get in.
I remember he went to social media. He was I like so that's how I remember him. So I'm like, I wonder if he's gonna go off there now. Next,
Right.
look what he did.
Right. He went crazy. I just think that you have to, like, it's hard to say, like you said, it's hard to say no to Duke, Kentucky, all that. But the Gophers don't even put themselves in a position for a kid to be like Minnesota or Kentucky. Like it's like Tyler, he was committed to Wisconsin, and
Yeah,
it was like, all right. But Minnesota, there's no reason that Minnesota, there's some stat about Wisconsin finishing top four. Um, in like the only team finished top four in like 10 out of or 11 out of the last 12 years. There's no reason Minnesota shouldn't be in that same class in the Big Ten. And it's not to say that you can't. It's not to say that you can't recruit out of state, but you do have to like be a presence in your own state. And I
That's
don't
the
think
thing. I
Minnesota.
feel like they're not a presence. And Jordan, I think you talked about before, Dane, what Jordan said. It's like a clicky state. And
hmm
me being out in the other side of it now, not being on campus, like I feel no connection to campus. Like, and I don't know any coaches that talk about the coaches at the U. Like, oh, that's my guy. That's my guy. Like, it's like they don't even know each other. And that's just my opinion on it. Like, you're not locked in with none of them are locked in with any coaches.
And I feel like too, like I think Minneapolis being the biggest city in the Big Ten kind of works against y'all in a way too, because I still like there is some of that city feel to the go to the U, in my opinion. I mean, obviously y'all would know better,
Mhm.
but it's still some of that like big business city feel. Let's make a splash all the time, as opposed to even like Ohio State, that's Columbus. The Buckeyes are Columbus. The Badgers are Madison. The Hawkeyes are. So it's
Yeah.
more like the Gophers have a crazy alumni network, but it doesn't really feel like you said like connected the same way some of these other like college towns do, which I think maybe plays a role into how they make hires. And I mean, obviously it worked with PJ Fleck though on the other side so far.
Yeah.
But
That-
don't let's not take no shots at PJ. But I'm
No,
gonna put it
I
this
think he's
way:
good.
Fleck does something. The thing about Fleck is he's just gonna trust his eye, and he's gonna recruit kids. Like Fleck doesn't offer Minnesota kids that don't have any stars, and he offered them scholarships and just figured out ways to work around it. I think Fleck, he's not looking just for the upper echelon kids. He's looking for everybody, just the way. And I think he understands what you're saying. You got to build all the relationships here, and that way you can start being in with some of those people. And that's why I like your tower idea, but at the same time, I'm thinking, man, me and Trev was talking about this yesterday. All them from the time I was there on, most of the time we had just as much talent, if not more talent, than Wisconsin. In some kind of way, y'all. And that's when we got. That's when I brought up Dude. When I brought up Dude to you, like, I was like, man, come on, man, Dude was weak.
Listen,
Like,
I'll say y'all had maybe better athletes across the board, but and Rodney is my guy. I grew up with Rodney. You're not going to tell me that Rodney Williams is a better basketball player than a guy like Tim Jarvis. Like he doesn't do anything better than Tim except jump. And Rodney doesn't think the game like Tim. He doesn't shoot the ball like Tim. He really doesn't guard in a team sense like Tim. But you're going to look at Rodney and Tim and you're going to be, oh, Rodney's way better when he's really not when it comes down to what you're trying to do, which is win basketball games.
and that's what I'm gonna say. That goes to coaching. Y'all had a better player development system. Y'all did more of them having a simple. Bro, the swing offense got so many options, and it's not as complicated as a lot of offenses where y'all could play faster within the offense, and it don't matter what type of athlete y'all bring in, they'll be able to operate in that swing. Compared to, we don't even know what our offense. What we didn't even have a real motion. We just play high and low, playing with Coach Smith,
Man,
and
Tubby
that's
teams, the difference was they both had offenses, bro. Every coach got offense, but then Wisconsin boys bought in. Like every
No,
player from
facts.
1 through 5, bro, they all bought in. Damon,
Facts.
like I ain't gonna lie, half the time with Tubby, bro, our best player probably was the only one that wasn't bought in half the time. I had about 8 different offenses with Tubby.
Man, facts. And I would say, yo, to your point, what you were saying about his cap, about you can't, go to, or some people think you can't go to Wisconsin and get to the league. I be trying to tell people all the time, like the swing. To be honest, I didn't even know what the swing was when I signed there. I love the football, and I was just like, cool. And when I was there, like we ran the swing, but when it came down to it, it's pick and roll with me and John, or pick and roll with me and Jared. But I be telling people, someone like yourself, you probably would have gone to the league off the swing because you would have been out there looking crazy athletic, crazy long. You would have made a couple jumpers, and they would have been looking at you like, oh, he's really athletic, but the swing is holding him back.
well, that's
Like
the thing.
that would have been the narrative around
Low
you.
But
key,
that
Stan
was
Decker was on that his freshman year when I was there. When you were still there, he was at the wing. Y'all was setting him up. He was dunking on us and shit.
Man, people don't look at Wisconsin's best teams are always when we get athletes on the wing, like Orlando Tucker, Sam Decker,
yeah.
Ray Nixon. And when I was there, we never really had like an elite athlete on the wing like that. But I'll never forget after I left school, Clark Kellogg, they was going to the Final Four 2 years later. And Clark Kellogg, all of a sudden, Sam's out there dunking, and everybody else is more athletic. He's over there talking about they got 4'6'5" guards who are. I said, where?
Yeah,
Where? Like, so it's just I actually hate, like I told Trev, a dude like Trev would have been, he's picking and popping all the time. Now Trev would have been a first round pick because he would have been grabbing 16 boards instead of the 11 he was grabbing. And then he would have been shooting the basketball. He would have been doing all that.
I'm
People would
not
have been
about to
looking at
let
his
you
game.
promote Wisconsin out here, fam. You're not about to steal our recruit. You already got enough. You gone too far now. Like you ain't about to do all that. Let's not let them get all that, man.
The swing is just, it's a 4-out 1 in. It gets a bad rap because we do play slow at times, but yeah, I mean
But I feel
that's
like that
what it
slow
is.
don't have
not at
nothing to do with
times.
the swing necessarily.
Y'all are consistently to the end of the shot clock, bro.
We actually shoot the ball. Well, at least when I was there, we shot the ball more times in the first 7 seconds than anybody in the Big Ten.
You was pulling.
So we do play. It's not that we just play slow we play slow. We play at a slow pace, but we do, at times mix it up. But also, is we didn't really have any athletes on the wing, and Coach Ryan would. But it all. Coach Ryan was really. I don't know how much of it was luck and all that. But as I was saying, to stay on topic, like there's no reason that Minnesota shouldn't have the same brand presence in Minneapolis that Wisconsin does throughout the state. It's the only thing here. I mean, you got the Vikings and all that, so it's a little different, but
Yeah, but
like
what you bring up about St. Thomas, that's not a crazy thing to say though, because for somebody that was in whatever league they were in, MIAC, when I came here, I would have thought them boys was D1 something.
Fam, my senior
everywhere
year
you
we
go,
had
you
this.
find the Tommy.
Yeah.
My senior year we used to have to go to these St. Thomas dudes used to come to the U and really tell people they could beat us in the game. Like, and it was
Oh,
dead
facts.
serious my
Yeah,
senior year.
they
We had to
did,
go to
but we
St.
used to
Thomas
go
and have
wipe
a
them.
real scrimmage.
No, but and y'all don't know this, people would believe them.
Yes. I
That's what I'm
remember being
trying to
in
tell
bars
you.
arguing.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's insane. Like if someone from Whitewater were to say they was going to beat Wisconsin, no. And I think they might have beat us. One of them D3 teams might have beat us a couple years ago. And I don't think people would still believe it.
Yeah,
I'm
and I think that
not.
can happen because I know what you're saying about Tower. I mean, I've come across him a few times, and that's all I needed. The dude knows how to talk. The dude is personable as heck. And so when you talk about what they need, you got to connect to the community. And the other thing I was going to talk about, you talk about our alumni network.
Crazy. St. Thomas, and on top of that, it's like when St. Thomas goes D1, you're gonna see, I think, in my opinion, I could be wrong, like St. John's, all those networks are gonna rally around St. Thomas before they rally around the U. Like you're gonna see a lot of people flock, especially it's gonna be tough on them to be good and get recruits, and it's gonna be a process. But if Tower can figure out how to get some kids in there, he's gonna end up at the end in a little bit. He's gonna start stealing them JP McCurrs. He's gonna start getting some of those guys who, especially guys that went to Benilde. I would look at St. Thomas if they're like a Marquette and they play in a mid to a big conference. Shoot, and then I mean, this is a very far out, but and you still feel like you can go play and maybe get to the league coming out of St. Thomas. Shoot, why not? I
So
would
you
say no.
basically saying the U is a, and I don't want to put words on your mouth, but from what I'm hearing, it's a bad job. Because if you're not a guy from Minnesota and you don't have the right Minnesota dude on your staff, you're not gonna ever work here. It's never gonna work for basketball wise.
I think that
I,
goes for almost any state too, though,
I
yeah,
feel like it's more here than anywhere though.
or alumni at least, or alumni.
I feel like that's very Midwestern culture to
Yeah,
operate that way more than any other place. But Minnesota is I honestly, like, I'll be talking a lot of stuff, especially to Trevor. And Trevor's a homer. Trevor is delusional about the Gophers at times. Like, like he
He ain't
got upset because
delusional.
I said
Nah,
y'all.
we ain't gonna do my guy Trav. Nah, he
No,
speaks
no, no, no.
real, but you kind of. I hear your points.
He loves the Gophers though. That's actually kind of feeds into my point. Like Trevor left the state and he came back and he still loves the like that dude loves the Gophers. Like he got mad because I said the Gophers were a somewhat struggling program. I thought that was obvious.
right.
Like I thought everybody knew that. He was like, oh, I was like, my bad. Like, damn. So to just like it's just to me, it's just like it's bad. Like I don't know how to put it. And I'm not even saying the coach has to be from Minnesota. It just it, they got I don't know, man.
I think they do though. I look at it. If I feel like they should either start looking at these because they got some really good coaches on the D2, D3 levels here. I think you look at somebody small and just try to build, get somebody that could build in, get good with the community. Don't look at it as a quick fix. Look at it as a long term type thing. Because I think another thing is we're gonna go for another hot name. He's gonna turn the program around, maybe, and then he's got out because he doesn't have much connection here. It's kind of what people worry about with Fleck. So
I mean, so I feel like Fleck has worked the Midwest, so I feel like I don't know football like that, but at least they got to get someone from Minnesota. I would go, and Trev said I would go look at Tower. That might I don't know nothing about the AD and the politics behind that, but I would seriously look at JT as a guy to bring to Minnesota, and that's like probably a risky move as an AD to bring the guy straight from D3. But I mean, and I used Trev asked the question where I say he's like, how many guys have done that? There's actually been quite a few dudes who have been lower level coaches and came up to D1, done a great job. But I just feel like Minnesota needs someone who is really ingrained in the culture here, knows how to maneuver, knows how to at least talk to kids, and then you add a couple guys like that, and then go get Dane, go get Kendall, go get Andre Hollins. Now all of a sudden you look now I think it's just a completely different thing.
Yeah,
So
I think the AD. Well, I know the AD. His background is hoops. Like that's his not basketball player, but his schools. He was at Kentucky. He was behind Tubby and the resign for Tubby, and then he was at Syracuse. So like he understands the importance of a basketball program, which also makes me think maybe he does try and just go get a big name hire out there. So who knows?
right, and I think like I don't. It kind of sounds like you like bashing a guy like Patino or Tuck, but I also don't think it's their fault because they come in here and they're accustomed to a certain style of basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like Patino's an East Coast guy, I think, right?
For
Like
sure.
so you watching them dudes out on the East Coast, they don't play anything like Midwest
Yeah,
players at all.
at
So
all.
they probably come here and you watch a dude like Jelly who like, and this goes back into what we were saying with with Rodney and Tim. A guy like Isaiah Washington versus a guy like I don't know. I'll just use myself as an example. If you just look at it, Jelly has way more game than I do. Like he's more shifty. That's East Coast stuff. So out there, he's probably viewed as better, and he probably comes here and is like, oh, well, this dude can't do what he does. So why would if I can get him? Why would I? You know what I'm saying? He's got more talent, and I'll mold him. Coaches are arrogant. I'll mold this dude with more talent into what I want to do, and I don't think that necessarily fits the Big Ten style, Minnesota culture, and I don't think it necessarily just wins in the Big Ten.
I
So
see. I saw Jelly that summer before you came here and stuff, and then I seen McKinley. Like McKinley, right? You could look at him and see he was gonna be a better fit than Jelly though, because just for overall, Jelly was
You
more
think so? Because you had been in the Midwest, you got that ingrained in you too.
right,
that too. But I'm just looking at like Jelly was always just a flash player to me. Where if you playing in a style where you're gonna have to slow the game down, how much of everything he's got gonna work? Because he's gonna have to make. He's short, so everything's gonna have to be contested for him. It's
No,
not like he wasn't that fast. He was quick, but not fast. He's not getting by, and I didn't feel like I felt like he had so much with the way he finished. He struggled because he wasn't able to get used to 7 footers coming block or contest those layups all the time. Like he couldn't handle that. I thought McKinley was far more where he's at least defensively he was gonna bring it every night. I ain't felt like Jelly had anything else besides playmaking to his game.
no.
He
Well,
couldn't shoot.
at that time, Kamani was still in the staff. Like he had East Coast dudes. Like that's how you recruit. And that is, I think Jordan brought up a good point. He did recruit and does recruit more of that style, and that don't always work here. And then when he sees players from Minnesota, he probably don't think like, nah, they not even compared to my guy out there in Jersey.
I felt like when I was committed to Wisconsin, and Tubby kind of like he kind of recruited me after I committed, but part of me felt like when he was doing it because there was rumbles like, oh, you got to go try and get Jordan to decommit. This could be like you just got here, you got to do something to make a splash. You got to try and go get Anthony or Jordan or like Anthony Tucker, like something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
not that it was even big rumbles, but just stuff like
What year were
Tubby's
you?
here. Oh wait, so but I committed. Tubby came, I think, in '07, right?
Yeah.
And I was already committed to Wisconsin before my junior year even started.
So
But
you was in the same class as DeVoe.
I think DeVoe maybe a year younger than me. I don't know. I was a year after Al.
Oh yeah.
Why? Because who was the coach? Munson?
Munson was a coach, and he didn't really recruit me.
He didn't recruit
And
you?
he didn't really recruit me. And Esposito was always trying to talk to me in my ear, like he was a cool dude, but you know he was. I was like, go talk to coach. Go talk to coach. So I
Coach
was
E,
like, all
my
right.
guy.
Yeah. So, and even Tubby, he came in with this style like y'all was hockey subbing, picking up full, and y'all had athletes, right? So I'll never forget like watching y'all first couple games when I was in college, and I was like, y'all, I think y'all beat us,
Yeah,
but
we beat y'all at Wisconsin.
yeah, when you go to the J-Bo on the I remember. And
Man, that
so
was no
anyway,
joke.
so yeah, I just remember the style, and I was like, we had a down year that year, but when I was just like, y'all style wasn't really gonna beat Big Ten teams because you're trying to speed teams up that you can't speed up. Like that style is tough to win. Like y'all not speeding us up. All that we got 35 seconds to do what we want to do. So all that picking up, trapping, like cool. I'm gonna stand here with it's not a 24-second shot clock. I'm gonna hold the ball just like Coach Ryan taught me. I'm gonna chin this joint, look, take a dribble, retreat real quick, throw it to the middle of the zone, pass. All right, let's run these cuts and let's tire these dudes out.
Man, I
Like,
think we went away from that style too much during the conference, in my opinion, because
shoot.
we
Because
started
y'all
getting
probably got
teams trying to play
tired.
half court. We should have been pressed. The game we beat y'all at Wisconsin, we were down 16 points and we had to press to come back. It kind of got y'all all out of rhythm.
But
I
that's
feel
what.
like we should have been playing like that more against not the Michigan States, not the teams in the Big Ten with athletes that could match it, but just with some of the other teams like the Iowas, the Wisconsins, um, even the Illinois at the time. Illinois didn't have the greatest athletes at the time. I mean, they had like McCamey to me was kind of slower.
Nah,
He
but
was really
Illinois
slow.
was long though.
He
Illinois
was.
was long. They had Tisdale and Mike Davis, and they were big. They were
They were
they
long, but they weren't fast.
the year y'all beat us too at Wisconsin, that was a unique because we didn't even have really any scorers. Like normally at Wisconsin, we'll have a bunch of guys that play their role, and then we'll have two guys that are getting like 15, 16. We didn't have anybody who
Trayvon?
could score the basketball. Trayvon's like a scorer, but Trayvon still is more of a playmaker. You know what I'm saying? Like at that point in his career, he was still like he was really good at making plays, getting in the lane. He didn't always make the best decisions. So it was like, but y'all definitely did come back and win that game. It's just, I don't know, the style was just nah. But I thought that was the best team the Gophers have had since them Bobby Jackson teams. To be honest,
I know that next year when we had Trell, Royce, Rodney, I think 1 through 13, everybody could have played. I mean, Justin Kyle's transfer, he was our 13th player. He ended up transferring, and he was an all conference player the next year.
Jay Cobb is nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, that,
so
that team. I think it was my junior year. We ended or no, your
my
your
opinion,
your senior year, and then the next year I think was probably that year. Y'all for sure was more talented.
yeah, but the only thing about Minnesota, that's the one thing that another thing is like, man, Minnesota, I feel like we get hit with controversy more than any school ever. I don't know if it's because the media here or what, but we always have something that happens that could kill our season any given week.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Man, it really is. I don't know. I can Y'all can only speak on that but I feel like you might be right because we had some of the same stuff happen at Wisconsin that y'all don't even know about.
That no one knows about at every
Like,
other school.
like we had two kids. We had two. My whole start of my sophomore year, people thought out. We had two dudes who got kicked off the team for stealing laptops. And I talked to I mentioned that to somebody playing the Big Ten. They're just like, yeah, Wisconsin. I'm like, yeah.
Right? But if something like that happened, shoot, I found out right away. Shoot, I found out about Royce before I met Royce, and Royce was long gone.
Man.
Like, he wasn't even on the roster. It was about 2 or 3 years prior to freshman year.
Bruh, I felt like I heard about Royce as it was happening. I felt
Well,
like
I
I
was
got a
there when
text.
everything was happening, so
Yeah.
there ain't nothing you can really do about that. Like that situation there, Royce was a different thing, and you know Royce like I do, so that was a whole different thing. But I just thought that we at least, man, every school you could get in trouble as much as you want, where it's covered up. Man, we get the smallest little things happen here. Somebody got caught underage drinking. Next thing you know, that's in the newspaper. It's crazy here.
In all honesty, this might be crazy. This might be a stretch, but I feel like if the players or I guess like the culture on the team was a little different, I feel like that might change.
What you mean?
Man,
I feel like it's different and it's different when you get, especially black kids, when you get black kids from Minnesota that people are familiar with. It's a little different when you get black kids that are not from Minnesota. That's now it's like, whoa, who are these? You know what I'm saying? And that exists in Minnesota. It really does. As much as I don't think it's malicious with some of the people that I know, but that's just a natural. There's prejudice all throughout the world, and I feel like that does play a role in some of it. Like it's like you get like even myself when Damian walked in, I'll never forget the first time I saw him at team camp. I'm like, this lanky dude, where he from? They said Louisiana. I said Louisiana. Like, what you doing up here? Like,
Right.
what you doing in Minnesota? I ain't never met nobody from Louisiana. So
Yeah.
I just, and it's not even, it wasn't even like a negative, just more like a subconscious, like, yo, what's he doing? You know what I'm saying? Like,
They
like
don't come up
and
here.
that's just, yeah. So it's, and after that, it's like, it's whatever. But yeah, so I feel like that might play a part, and I could be dead wrong, but that's just my observation.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I wanted to one more thing on that recruiting piece though, man. You talked a little bit about NCAA transfer, all this stuff, one and done stuff. I wanted to talk more about that. Just these new options kids got, these elite prospects. I mean, you're a pretty good player, pretty good prospect. So who knows? Maybe you got offered one of these packages that these boys getting to go G League.
Man, listen,
What would you
that
do?
shit, I'm taking the money.
Take it.
But for a guy like myself, that probably could have been the worst thing that happened to me because I needed to be at Wisconsin. I needed
Mm-hmm.
to be I needed to be playing college basketball, keep learning the game. Some of these dudes like Jalen Green and LaMelo and them dudes, they're good enough where it's like it doesn't really matter whether they're at Duke or Australia or the G League. But I just again slippery slope. I feel like there's gonna be dudes like myself who end up making some very poor decisions and is going to have consequences on their life or career that are unforeseen. Like they're going to try, they're not going to get the $500,000 that Jalen Green's getting. They're going to get 100,000 or 50,000 or
Right.
like, and they're going to make a bad decision that they're advised. It's going to help you for the pro. You're not going to get drafted. You don't have college. Next thing you know, you 22 years old. You overseas playing in a country you've never been to, and you're going to be culture shocked because overseas is not all that it's cracked up to be.
Definitely not.
And it's overseas is great. Don't get it twisted. Like I've really come to like enjoy my time there, but spending 9 months as a 22-year-old, I almost got on the plane and left when I was a rookie. Like, and I was in Rome, Italy. So I was like, man. So I mean, I think it's great to have the options, but I think it's tough for some of these kids who aren't necessarily. It's tough to really give these 18, 17, 18-year-old kids all these options because they don't know any better. Like, I mean, even if they're smart kids, it's just like they don't know and they don't know shit.
I mean, to be
Here's the
honest,
thing.
most of the parents only know one thing:
Yeah.
that bread.
Because if I'm Chet
And
Holmgren, I'm gone.
if you're who? Chet Holmgren?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Chet's probably good either way. But I mean, I would even say some of the parents that I think something that's overlooked too is like you always see like these money hungry. You get the money hungry parents that are making bad decisions. In my case, when I was choosing to come out after my junior year, I decided to go back when realistically I probably should have came out. And you strike while the iron's hot. My pops is a bank, like he's a banker, financial advisor, and he's like, go back to school. He doesn't know nothing about that process. So it's not that he was money hungry. It's just like even somebody, like you said, even some of these parents just don't know what's going on. Like if they've never been in that circle or they've never like experienced that, how would they know what advice to give?
Right.
So it's just a hard thing. Sometimes in a lot of these situations, you just get the blind leading the blind. But fortunately, there's more resources now to educate yourself, and obviously, people are aware of all the horror stories, which is probably a good thing. But it's tough, man. I don't know. I'm happy for the people that have that option, though.
I
Yeah.
feel like it's a better option than overseas. Man,
Yeah,
that overseas. My thing with the overseas part is like first you go into another country, and you're gonna have to like you're not gonna be as physically ready to compete with those guys as a lot. As good as RJ Hampton was, it was a struggle for him this year competing. That's grown men you competing with,
it
and on
hurt his
top
stock.
of it, you away from home for a long time. No matter how much money you got, you gonna get lonely, bored, homesick. I just don't think it's a good option at 18 compared to at 22, 23 when you can mature, and it's
Yeah,
still
nah,
tough.
yeah, not my fault. You just keep going.
No, that was it.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, so yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I mean, if they're going to Australia, that next levels program in Australia, I think that's a good deal. It's a shorter season. It's like 5, 6 months as opposed to the 9, 10 that we do.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, I still think that being here is better. I still think that even some of these kids though, like Jalen Green, is not gonna matter. But I think that people undervalue the impact that college has on you. Like, there's a lot to be said about a guy like Tyus Jones going to Duke and being the man and learning how to lead. Not that he didn't know how to lead, but learning, just gaining confidence, growing
Yeah.
his confidence. And like you said, Dave, he's playing against kids his own age, and he's taking that confidence, that mentality to the next level. Where some of these guys, like RJ Hampton, We don't know we don't know where his mind is at now. Like
Yeah.
Nick Carroll said the other day, confidence is a bitch. So we don't know where his mind is at. He might have got his ass kicked over there, and now he's thinking like, shit, I struggled over here. Now I got to go play with these dudes.
Yeah.
Like, so, and that might derail, even though he got paid, it still might derail his career. So I think it's a lot to be said about being able to go be the man. Like we had Teo Maladon, who's going to get drafted in the first round this year, and there was times where he's not the best player on our team, but he's the most highly touted. He's got all the pressure, but our coach wasn't giving him all the minutes, so it's messing with his head. I thought he responded really well to it mentally, so I think that was a positive he could take with him. But I think he might have been better served going to Michigan State for a year and being the man, and going out there and averaging 13-7 and playing for Coach Izzo. So, I mean, I said it's good for them to have options, but it's also not. So, like, it's tough, man. It's
No,
not a black and white situation.
no, that makes sense. It's hard. I think it's hard for them to make that decision. But do you think, in the mental aspect of it, like you said, I always hear all these overseas players when you talk. I mean, it's a lot of stuff that goes into that lifestyle being overseas, and that along with that confidence piece, like so much as a hooper is your mentality and your
Man,
confidence. Like when you get to college, even for the first time, like you might be like, oh shoot, let me at least make sure I can play with these dudes. Because when you're in high school, you really don't know. You're always gonna be one or two that best player. Like no matter really where, unless you go into Mount Bird or Oak Hill. So I think it is something to be said to even be put in that locker room of same age individuals like a Duke or a Kentucky, where you're like, oh shoot, let's do this.
I mean, you heard M talk about how important that shot that he hit in the national championship was for his confidence. He was like, okay, now I got the confidence to kind of take that next step. If he goes overseas, and
Yeah,
this is a huge hypothetical, but like maybe if he goes overseas and he gets dogged out a little bit, then is he MJ now? You know what I'm saying? So it's really it's really tough to keep introducing new options to 17-year-old kids and expecting them to make the right one, even assuming that they have good people behind them. Like, cause it's
right.
just you just don't know. But at the same time, it's hard to tell someone that you should only have one option.
Yeah. Well, right or wrong is the NCAA. Should they be worried? That's what the topic is right now. Should they be
Oh,
worried?
I think the NCAA. I think it's over. I think it's over for the NCAA.
Yeah.
I think they screwed.
I,
At least for how we know it. I don't know. I just don't understand how they're going to keep control. It's turning into the AU and young prospect world is turning into a to wild west.
mm-hmm.
And you see people who are good, like they're gonna prey on it, even if they have good intentions. It's like these people are gonna be coming at these kids with so much stuff. Their heads gonna be spinning, and it's just like it's gonna be interesting. But I think the NCAA is definitely should be worried about the direction of specifically basketball.
Bro, me too. I see it becoming such a world phenomenon now, and then I see like the junior NBA growing and like that. Like I even think AU might need to start get worried because I feel like if they keep getting in trouble with all these like allegations, right? The EYBLs and Adidas, like junior NBA slowly creeping up. Like yo, we about to just take over the whole thing. We about to have the AU circuit, the G League circuit, NBA, like NCAA, y'all gone. We gonna start controlling high school in a way. Like that's where I've been seeing.
Yeah, I mean that's more of a European model, to be honest. I mean that's Europe has all these clubs pretty much controlling these young kids from the time they're 14.
What do they do? Do they go? Do they go? Because I understand that, Mal. Do they go to school? They connect them in schools, or how does that work?
I don't know. They go to high school. Like for instance, Teo went to high school until he graduated from school not this year, but the year, and he would just go to school in the city that we played in Lyon. And same with Sekou, who I played with Sekou Demboy, who I played with the year before. I don't know. I'm sure the teams connect that,
Yeah.
but it's not like some teams have like academies. Matter of fact, Tony Parker, TP, is my team owner, and he's building an academy in Lyon where young prospects can come through. They can go to school. He actually has a e gaming e gaming is a part of the academy, which is kind of dope. Since
What?
that's such a
I need
big
to
thing,
hop on
yeah.
that.
Nah, yeah, TP's got a nice setup, and he's got all these kids coming through. He's got, I think they're maybe 14. I don't know the ages, 13 to 17, something like that. And then the ones that aren't NBA prospects, I'm sure will play for his professional team in Lyon. So he's got and I think his goal. I don't know. I don't want to speak for him, but I think his goal is to eventually bring in guys from Lithuania, or because they don't have those type of there's only a couple type of academies like that over there.
Right.
But his goal, I think, is to bring all those dudes in, and then kind of like they'll go from there to either the NBA or Real Madrid and making $1 million or 1.5 or Asvel, Lyon. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, TP is really he's got that blueprint overseas.
Shoot, I could see that happening over here. We already got the infrastructure with prep schools.
Yeah.
Just start owning them. Like the NBA start owning them. Send the kids down there and do the same thing TP doing. It could happen. People already trying to do it. Like I don't really understand the prep school scene that much. The grind circuit, everything going on. I feel like people can just make up schools wherever they want. Like I feel like 9 schools in Phoenix, but it's I could see that happening too. You said what?
It's that prep school stuff could get sketchy.
It can get sketchy.
No, it definitely can. All that. Anytime you got grown people controlling kids that aren't their own, like it's going to that sketchy situation. So it's like, and I feel like I'm turning into that old guy on the porch type, because I'm like, I like progression. I love it. I think it's dope. But at the same time, like, be careful, because it's like the grass ain't always greener. So it's tough.
I feel that, man. Well, let's wrap up in the last like 10 minutes here. It may go a little bit longer than that, but a few topics, a few hot debates. I've been seeing y'all go back and forth. I've been going back and forth, and I just need to air a few things. I know we're finishing up this docu-series. You're right in the middle of it, so we can jump right off of that real quick. First off, thoughts last night that Mike Jordan, it was Barkley, y'all guy. I want to make sure y'all was respecting before the doc, right?
Shoot, Barkley. I might have more respect after the doc for Barkley. Always been a top 3 power forward for me, but he might be number 2 for me now.
Bro, I didn't realize it either.
Barkley a dog.
Nice.
I didn't.
You got to know that. You from the South.
Yeah, well, my brother, he was an undersized 4-man. And when he was in high school, Barkley was his favorite player. So I used to have to watch them weak Suns play. I never liked the Suns. I ain't even like Barkley. So I used to have to watch him play all the time.
That man took a trophy from Mike. Like and Mike was mad. Like, and it took Mike getting mad to beat them too. What? So respect on Barkley's name, but yeah, Mike was a dog, man. Mike or Bron. Who y'all got? Let me just put the air out there right now.
Between who? Mike or Bron?
Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
I'm gonna go with LeBron, man. Mike, like, you can't. Here's why though. Here's why. Mike is the GOAT. Mike is the GOAT. I don't think it's a debate, because for me, if you want to sit here and talk about basketball and get into the subjectiveness of basketball and who's better and skill sets and all that, we can sit here and argue and yell at each other all day. Like, you know what I'm saying? But Jordan is the GOAT in the sense that he had kids really out here. I don't know about y'all. I was in the backyard really believing that my arm would stretch out of my body, like, to dunk a basketball. Like,
Space Jam?
Yeah, like, I really believed that.
Yeah.
Like, in my mind, I was like, yo, and the jingle, like Mike, like, I was really, I want to be like Mike. I'm gonna be like Mike. He had every kid, probably every kid, especially every little black kid, really that they were going to be the NBA, the greatest player of all time. And LeBron has done that to a sense, not as much, but I just give the nod to LeBron because I grew up in the LeBron era, and to see the things that he's handled, I think is just as great as with social media. And like on the doc last night, they were talking about the Mike didn't stand up for that politician. If Bron did that, he would get destroyed. He'd be a Uncle Tom. He'd be a, you know what I'm saying? So it's just different circumstances, and because I grew up more, I was more cognizant of the game watching LeBron. I go with Bron, but I still think Mike is the GOAT. They tied. They tied, but I prefer Mike. I prefer LeBron's game.
Come on.
What you think, Dame? Who would you pick?
You know who the goat is. With this,
No,
like you
who would
said,
you
you
pick?
know
Who
who the
you
goat
think?
is.
So
Game
go.
wise, I'm sorry, but I'd rather watch MJ. I like watching people that's going. I know you're gonna say, man, that nostalgia rubbing off and this and that. But man, when you could shoot Michael mid range game, I like people that can shoot that thing. And Jordan could pull up on anybody at any time and hit it consistently, way more consistent than Brian has throughout his career. You can't even argue that part. Mike
Nah, not at
also,
all.
and Mike defensively at times, like man, Brian could turn it on at times, but I feel like Brian turned it on a lot less than Jordan turned it on defensively. And I know that's a debatable subject or whether you could debate that part, but man, the way Jordan got out the cats, I thought he took a lot of cats' hearts too.
Listen, my problem with MJ with like the nostalgia is sometimes it's just the arguments. Like to be honest, comparing LeBron to Michael Jordan is not even fair. They're so different. Like it's
Yeah,
not close. Like if you
Nah, you
talking about
compared
as
Kobe to Michael Jordan before that. Is that
yeah, like but yeah, Kobe and Mike play more similarly. Like LeBron and Jordan, they're different defenders. They're different offensively. Like they're very different. So like LeBron is 40 pounds heavier than this man and 4 inches bigger. MJ is going to get after people better. He's a better on ball defender. He's smaller. He moves better laterally. But in terms of like being an off ball, weak side, free safety type defender, I don't think that Mike has it like LeBron does. But the thing is, Mike did it first, so people have this standard of greatness, and it's Michael Jordan. And that is whatever Michael Jordan did. It's taking the last shot. It's, hitting them big shot, whoop de whoop, all this other stuff. When in reality, that's not LeBron's game. And because if you got Kyrie Irving matched up with Steph Curry, that's smart to give Kyrie the ball. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what you trying to do. Win or try and, make hero plays so I can say I'm like Michael Jordan. Like, what you trying to do? So it's
I
just
wanted the
like
hero. Give me the hero plays. I want the hero plays.
and even you remember like guys like I don't know I guess where y'all grew up, but if you watch KG a lot, but I watch KG obviously every night. And people when I was young, people would destroy KG. Oh, he doesn't take the big shot. He's not like this. And that was the standard because Mike did it. But 7 foot power forwards never take the last shot at the end of the game.
unless you dirt.
Unless you. But even Dirk at the beginning of his career, it was Michael Finley was taking them shots.
Yeah, but
So
Dirk
it's like,
should have been because Dirk a dog.
yeah, and it's just like those aren't shots that big men historically took, and you're putting those dudes up against Mike. It's just not fair. Like, what you want him to do?
I
But
think the thing with Bron is people, and what I get mad with Bron is more the killer in him. Sometimes it seems like he's folding more so than making the right play.
When?
When he's making those passes, it seems like it's more so a fold. It's not always the right move. I've seen a lot of them where he's made the pass and it wasn't to Kyrie or it
But
wasn't to Ray Allen.
But again, here's my issue with that. People act like Michael Jordan did not do the same thing. Like Michael Jordan,
No.
you watched last night when they came back against the Suns in that game 6. Mike got that rebound, went coast to coast. Nobody even got in his way. That
But
was
here's
crazy.
the thing
And
with Mike is they had to take the ball out of his hands. The
that's
coaching
true.
staff did.
That's true.
Bron, coaches, they're probably over there like, shoot that shit. Coaches probably over there like, damn, Bron, shoot it. But you're not going to tell Bron that. But my thing is, Bron has the potential to not even make it an argument. And I don't think he's taking that step in some ways.
I think part of the reason he hasn't taken that step in the public's eyes is because if KD doesn't go to Golden State, Mike's not beating those Warriors teams. I'm sorry.
Right.
Especially post baseball.
That's fact. That's like the best. That Warriors team different.
Post baseball, the way Mike played, shooting mid ranges all the time, he wasn't shooting them as efficiently as he was before he left. Like he's not beating the Warriors, scoring 90 points a game, shooting 160 shots in the finals, 41% from the floor. Like no, he's not. I'm sorry, not beating the Warriors, not happening. So if LeBron lost to teams that when has LeBron lost series that he was
Dallas,
supposed to win?
Dallas. Ain't no.
Mavericks,
I'm never gonna hear nothing that's gonna make me convinced that he wasn't supposed to be that Dallas team.
Mavericks,
Yeah. So that's what's really tainted Bron's whole legacy for losing that
the
series to Dallas.
Mavericks.
Yeah, he shouldn't have. No way he should lose that series, bro. He had at times it wasn't like he had the best defenders on. He only averaged 17 in that whole finals.
That was the one series in LeBron's career where it was just like, oh, he just did not show up. LeBron has some of the best finals performances in losing efforts ever. Like
I,
Shaq S 2000, Jordan 93. LeBron has those type performances in lost. So what do you want him to do? Like he's played with bad teams as well. Like
all them teams weren't as bad as people making them out to be. Like a lot of those teams, I think one thing that these documentaries showing me is for the winter championship is all about your role players and your role players understanding their roles. And I think Brian had a lot of teams where he had the right role players in place too. Even though we're gonna sit here and act like he didn't.
I think for as much as you want to say that, I think that Heat team is not as good as people want to make them out to be the way they played together. On paper, they were great, but the way that they played, it was not really good basketball. Like it wasn't. They didn't really have very many. They had like one shooter on the floor. D Wade was out there hurt half the time and dribbling into contested pull ups.
No. Them boys had a squad, bro.
That
They
first
had
No,
game,
people.
D Wade was good, man. That first
Adams
finals,
was
he was
in
good.
the short corner every time. They had Mike Miller
listen,
and Ray Allen on both wings. They
And
had
also he could
was
still
a
shoot.
dog until LeBron took his manhood from him. They had some killers. I think they had a pretty good squad, bro.
no. They had a great team. They had a great team. I'm saying that team, maybe they just weren't as good as we thought. Maybe the way they came together and gelled, they just weren't that good. Like, and that's why they lost twice. Like, there's got to be a reason why they lost twice in the finals, other than just LeBron folded up.
What
Like,
that Spurs one is different though. I don't count the Spurs one as much because D Wade was done by then, and they didn't. All them dudes was way too old on that team by the Spurs. The second one they lost. The Dallas one they had no excuse for losing.
what about the first Spurs one?
The first Spurs one, I don't know. The first Spurs one, I don't feel like they should have won that. To be real, this shouldn't. LeBron shouldn't even have as many finals as he
No,
had.
no, 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 no. The Cavs Spurs,
You
Oh,
talking about when he was
2007.
younger?
oh,
That
when he
team,
was
Brown
young.
wasn't even ready for that situation yet. That Cavs team wasn't enough to compete with the Spurs while the Spurs were still at their prime. They was borderline at their prime still at that time. It was supposed to be Detroit versus the Spurs in that ship that year.
Listen,
LeBron
I
did a
just,
lot though to bring them there. I'll give
right.
him that.
Yeah.
I think too much of like the 6-0 goes into the reason why people say Mike is the GOAT, which is amazing. Don't get it twisted. But there's so many variables that are uncontrollable that go into winning. Like that, it's really hard to win, and Mike is great for that. But for me, the reason I choose LeBron is because the way he's taken the torch from Mike and progressed the NBA, and that's been in my era. Like in terms of him surpassing Mike, it's unfair because Mike to me is not the GOAT because he's 6-0 in the finals again. Mike to me is the GOAT because he still got shoes flying off the shelf. He was in Paris wearing a damn beret in the middle of Champs Elysees. Like the style that Mike brought to the game is still trying to be duplicated by kids now. And it's like once that happens, he's the blueprint. So LeBron was looking at Mike like, I'm trying to copy his style and then advance it. And that's what he did. That's what him and Kobe both. That's what they've done. So it's like you can't really. It's unfair to like if LeBron won 7 championships, Mike would still be the GOAT in my eyes. Because even like the way Mike won that, he walked off on Utah, dropped the dude, cross, hold the follow through on Bob
But do you
Costas.
not think you don't think that like another reason for me it's hard to compare the two when Mike lost his series, like what he did, he just went back, lifted, he did it, but and maybe it's just his generation, but Bron, I mean, he went to Miami, he called up 2 other superstars. Do you think that has anything to do with
Nah,
the
no, hold on.
legend?
Don't even go there with him because I can see it in his face. He like
Again,
the
I'm just
he
saying,
the
but
new
for
age.
me personally, I'm none
He got the
against
new age
LeBron. I just
mindset.
told Dame now, like my thing on LeBron has completely changed over the first 2 years because I'm a Kobe fan. So like I like LeBron now, but for me to sit there and have the argument, it hurts me to say what he had to do to start getting his chips.
Listen, Michael Jordan was fortunate enough to get Scottie Pippen drafted, and he didn't know that. That is like going to. I was mad when LeBron went to Miami at first, but it's like, what was he supposed to do? They weren't getting him anything significant to try and win. Like he was out, bro. He had Daniel Gibson. No disrespect, like that was his running mate. And you,
Fam,
Dame, you over here talking about Giannis has Chris Middleton, but then you backtrack and talk about LeBron had the right pieces and the right. Nah,
nah,
fuck
He
all
ain't just go
that.
with one person, though, bro.
stop it
He
right
called
there.
Chris Paul and him. I mean, not sorry, Chris Bosh and him. So that's what I was saying. It's super team.
I don't watch
It
Daniel
was a
Gibson for
super
the
teams
37.
existed before LeBron came around.
I didn't
I'm
say he
saying,
started it. I didn't say he started. I
Right.
just say he did it.
He did
Just
it.
like you say KD did it. I know he lost right before. I know it's
Yeah.
completely different. But
Listen,
people say the same thing about him. I don't get the difference.
I don't have a problem with what KD did. I think
oh man,
KD
come
went.
on, man. Let's stop this
I went.
nonsense.
Listen,
We stop this.
I went.
Stop the
To be
press, man.
honest, to
We
be
ain't gonna
honest,
just
to
give
be
KD
honest,
passes out
I
here too,
think
bro.
KD. The reason I don't have a problem with what KD did is because everybody always talks about the Warriors just beat him. I don't think he went to the Warriors because he didn't think he could beat the Warriors. I think he went to the Warriors because he didn't think he could get past Bron, even if he got past the Warriors with
Man,
that
that team
OKC
they had
team.
was getting past that, fam. They was about to beat. They was up 3-1 on the Warriors. They could have beat Cleveland in that championship with that
He
with
lost.
that
He lost
OKC
to.
team
He
could have
lost
matched
to
up with the Clippers.
Miami. He just got done getting mollywopped by LeBron a couple years prior. Mollywopped
Yeah.
That was a different
with
team
James
though.
Harden, with Serge Ibaka, with Russell Westbrook. He's playing with all these dudes. He knows how they progressed. He knows what their game is like. I think KD is cerebral enough to be like, yo. And I again, how would I know? I just think he's looking at Bron. And KD said in his in his MVP speech, he's always talking about, oh, I'm tired of finishing second. I'm tired of this. I've always been second. He was second to Greg Oden. He was set like, and he's publicly said this stuff. So I think he's looking at the top dog like, oh yeah, I might need a little more to get past you. So I don't have a problem with what either Bron or KD did. It's just Bron is like I said, Bron is unfairly compared to Mike. He'll never. The only way Bron will be able to surpass Mike is if he does the stuff that Mike does and wins more champions. He's
All
gonna
he
have a
need to do is a three-peat. Give me one three-peat. That's all I want.
nah. You remember Bob? I know y'all remember Bob Costas when Mike. You were I don't know how old, 9, 10, whatever years old. This man dropped Byron Russell, exhausted, hits the pull-up, 4 seconds left, and is this the last game that we'll ever see Michael Jordan play in a Bulls? Bruh, that shit is iconic. That is a movie. Like you can't. That's what makes Mike the GOAT to me. Just the way he did everything he did, man. Like he coming off the plane smoking a cigar, talking about I'm
Hey, and
not.
that's the argument, Jordan. I think if LeBron is in that situation against the Heat, it's the last time we see LeBron play. I could see him passing it to a rookie.
Right. And to me, I'm not. That's why I put them right next to each
Just
other. And I
because
know
here's the thing, bro. You keep saying it don't matter, like the game winning shot, but also you're saying the reason Mike is the GOAT is because he did hit that. So it's like
no. I'm
LeBron
saying
had control to do this, but he hasn't.
I'm saying, do you know the odds of that happening? Like that is like Mike created the standard. So you can't
Yeah.
LeBron's not creating the standard. The standard's been created and LeBron is chasing it. Mike wasn't chasing anything.
Mm-hmm.
So for LeBron,
I
like
mean, he was chasing Magic. He
he
was
wasn't
chasing
chasing them
Cap. He
fools.
said that last
Time
night.
up, time
He
up.
said, I
Yeah,
was
well,
chasing Magic. He said, I was taking
Kendall is
him out
right.
between chips.
You
So
want
he
to
went
know
and got 6.
you want to know why he wasn't chasing them is because he was chasing them, I'm sure, from a mental, but from a narrative standpoint or from a public, Michael Jordan was considered the best player in the NBA while Magic and Larry were there. As soon as he got that first three-peat and started, the only thing was, oh, he can't win like them. He got that three-peat and it was a wrap. Now it was like he was the first one to three-peat since the dynasties of old. So it was over. But all the stuff after that, leaving for baseball, coming back, like all this stuff is just a style thing that LeBron is. It's
No, but
impossible to
also the
duplicate.
biggest thing you're missing, bro, is the game. It's the pickup game. That's when Mike earned his flowers. So it was he took over that game. He said, I'm about to kill every other player on this court. And so what I'm saying is if LeBron was in that situation, would his fellow NBA players also admit, like, oh yeah, LeBron, he's that guy? Or would it be Kyrie taking it over?
We don't know. You can't. You
I
can't.
know.
We can't. That's my point.
I
We can't.
know.
We have all these stories that go into lore about Jordan, and that like takes away from LeBron sometimes when it shouldn't. Like that's not LeBron's fault. He didn't like. Have you ever read the book Outliers by
Yeah,
Malcolm
yeah,
Gladwell? And
yeah.
Malcolm Gladwell touches on like guys like Tiger Woods and LeBron and Michael Jordan. They were really gifted and all that, but also the timing and the situation of these opportunities suited them perfectly. Where it was the timing was right for someone like them to come through. The timing isn't the same for LeBron because it's already happened.
All right,
So
but let's not talk as much because it sounds like it's turning into more status symbol conversation. Let's talk hoops. No, no, just hoops. Like in their prime. Like let's try and like put ourselves in a time machine. All these guys like game on game. You're saying Bron, Jordan.
That's cap.
That's
in
a
their
better
in their
basketball
in
player.
their prime, I think that LeBron James, if he was in the 80s and 90s, would have had 5 championships, would have had just as many, doing all the same things. Because the thing about Jordan is, they were like, oh, it wasn't that Jordan, they hadn't seen guys with Jordan's skill set. They had never seen the combination of guys with the skill set, with the athleticism, with all that. LeBron, like, there are several guys that have that now.
Mm-hmm.
Several. And
And
I'm
that,
not
you know
saying
why
they're
they
as
got
good as
several
Michael
guys
Jordan.
with it now? Because
There are several. For
Michael
people to sit
Jordan.
here and
That's
say
why.
guys like Kevin Durant would not average 40 points a game back then because it's too physical, like stop it.
Nah,
Michael Jordan, and
that's cap.
no disrespect, but like the defense was solid then. It's just different. Like who's to say that John Starks putting his elbow in your hip is more difficult than Andre Iguodala with a 7'4" wingspan staying on your hip and contesting every shot? Like both of those are difficult ways to play, and they act like people weren't calling fouls back then. LeBron would have been just fine in that era. LeBron would have been over there. You saw in the clip last night, Michael against the Knicks. We had the little putback, and he knocked 2 of them dudes out the way. If Mike's doing that, LeBron, in my opinion, they're different athletes again. But LeBron is still more of like a thoroughbred. This dude is 6'9", 260,
No,
4.5 speed, and he's got a skill set to match it.
the
So
combo, it shouldn't even be a combo. LeBron, oh, I guess Dame, you was shaking your head, but I believe LeBron, I mean, he's a physical specimen. I don't buy any of that 90s argument. Like, just try and talk skill because when you talk about the 90s defense, like LeBron would have dunked on them just as easy as he's talking on people now. The big men are even more athletic these days. Like, the big men back then were these 7-foot dudes that barely could move.
facts. What I'm saying is the standard, because Mike created the standard of greatness. There is things that LeBron does that are great that he does not get credit for to be great. You know what I'm saying? Like even him, again, this goes back to status, but the way he passes the ball, he's arguably the best passer of all time. Maybe Magic is better. Some of the
Magic.
pass, like people don't value those type of things because it's not what Michael created as the standard. So
Yeah.
even like LeBron coming from high school and literally he's had all Mike didn't have to deal with all this hype since being 14 and being able to be the best and be coming stepping out first game as 20 whatever he had 27-8 or what I'm saying against the Kings on national TV. Like Mike didn't have to deal with some of that because the times were different, but we don't consider those things to be great because the standard was already set. We were already like, no, you got to be like him. So some stuff that is really great is like you look at it and you're just like, yeah, that's cool, but did you do this like Mike? Nah, so you're not there. So it's just an unfair comparison. Like, and for me, because I grew up, like I said, I was more cognizant when LeBron was around. I'm looking at this shit like, wow, this dude, look at what he's done with all this pressure, with all this scrutiny, come back from 3-1. Like, he's still got so much stuff that he's done that I think gets taken for granted because it doesn't quite reach the standard that Michael Jordan set, which is unfair.
Yeah. No, that's a good argument. I kind of agree. Dame.
I'm not gonna go into too many different things, get too deep into it, but I'm just put it this way. If you look at it, I agree with you about the defense then, because the thing that people not realizing that when Mike getting his shot off in the mid range is he's a lot of times he was guarded by dudes that's already 2 or 3 inches shorter than him, like a lot of 6'2", 6'3" guys guarding Jordan. I give you that. So he was
Oh,
shooting
okay.
over
All right.
dudes. It was easier for him to get that mid range shot off over dudes compared to him going against like an Iguodala, like you said, and this and that. But the way that it wouldn't be people like Brown and Kobe if it wasn't for MJ. A lot of those guys end up modeling what they doing. That's why they have so many guys like Jordan. I ain't gonna say like Jordan, but that could compete with Jordan athleticism and skill combination in the league now compared to back then because everybody copied off that standard. So I give you, it's tougher for LeBron to, I mean, I see MJ playing now. He would win, go 6-0, but at the same time, when it came down to it, I can see MJ in the clutch time taking games over differently than LeBron do, and more like MJ had a different mindset, and that's my thing. I like guys that's gonna take it over either way they can. And Brown at times, I feel like he has too many times to me where I thought he could have took games over more, and I think he just was playing the cerebral game a little too. I feel like he played the cerebral game a little too much compared to realizing what he is, a 6'9" specimen that could take over a game at any given moment. And he should start doing that more. Like he should have been doing that. I thought he could have been doing that his whole career. I
Bro,
don't think he took over games when he should have been. You
have
know he
you not seen what this man has done in the finals in losing efforts?
what finals games we talk. I seen him have some bad finals. I mean,
2015, 2018. Like this man averaged
let's not count them
39.
Warriors finals. Warriors finals don't even count to me because when KD and them came, no matter what Bron did, we not even paying attention to those games because we knew the Warriors was gonna win when KD
Bruh,
came.
even against the Spurs when they lost, the man was clearly the best player on the floor. He
Oh
ran into a buzzsaw.
yeah, I don't think that Spurs team was that much of a buzzsaw. They shouldn't have lost to that Spurs team.
No,
I
they
don't
were a
think.
buzzsaw because the way Danny Green and Gary Neal got hot and shot the ball at a clip that they'll never shoot the ball at again in their life.
Yeah, but it was in the
Ever.
buzzsaw is what that was another finals Bron should have won.
Them dudes were shooting like 60% from three.
Fam.
They did not miss. Like it was like the Spurs would come down, pass, pass, pass. One of them dudes would end up with the ball, and it was more of a shock that they would miss. It was like, oh my god, Danny Green for a second was a Finals MVP candidate.
That finals was a weird finals because Kawhi getting MVP for just guarding LeBron was weird to me too. But
I mean,
and
TP would have got it, but TP had a bad game five. But it's just that I mean that I think you just saying my point. Like it's
they got four
Matt
one though. Didn't they get four
huh?
one?
Who?
Didn't the Heat get 4-1 that series?
Yeah, they
Oh,
won. They lost game one, won game two, and lost the next three. But D Wade was hurt that series as well. That's where D Wade wasn't quite D Wade.
I
But
give you that.
that, like you said, like Mike created this. Like I said, Mike wasn't really chasing. Mike was chasing Magic and Bird in the sense of like he was taking the reins, but he wasn't really chasing them in the sense where it's like, damn, let me model my game after. If you ask anybody born during LeBron James model his game after Michael Jordan, like, and to be honest, I think people overlook about Mike is the thing, not so much the 6-0, but it's like even when this dude was dead to rights, he still won, and it was you watch the documentary, like dude was down four with 40 seconds left,
That's
and then they
yes.
won in
That
game
Jazz
six,
game.
down 2-0 against the Knicks, down 2-0 against the Knicks, going to New York. No. Was it no 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 no? Was it going back to New York or going to no, it was in New York, going back to Chicago, down 2-0. He wins four straight. So I will give you that. Like Mike is an assassin. He has this ability, even more so than Kobe, just to turn it on. Like I said, dude's getting off the plane after losing game five. He probably thought series was over against the Suns. He gets on the plane, dude got a cigar. He like, all right, we're gonna be here for a night and we getting up out of here. Like, and it was so he always won. It doesn't seem like Mike when it came down to it, like he always found a way to win, which is a very underrated quality that I don't think LeBron or really anybody quite has. Um,
And I think
so
KD, low key, somewhat had that mindset. Like KD was about to be the next line where I think they're the guys that's similar to the Kobe where they could take over, especially hitting jump shots, mid range. But then KD it changed, and then him and Russ on the same team, he would never be able to have that mindset because Russ got that mindset that I'm the man too.
See,
So
see, see, and this is what I'm talking about. People try and come at Russ, but people forget that game six when OKC had the game up and Clay went crazy, and it was late game, and KD over here getting rebounds, playing hot potato with the basketball. If Bron did that, he would get destroyed. KD
KD
over
got destroyed
KD,
though.
KD and Russ over. KD didn't get destroyed like that. KD not like Bron. KD and Russ turned the ball over combined like 5 times in the fourth quarter. Like and they over here both looking flustered.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to hear KD's an assassin and Bron's not. Bron is an
No,
assassin,
I
but
didn't
you're
say
not.
KD
You don't
was
reach.
an assassin. KD went to the weenie chart after he made that change to go to the state. Once he signed to go to the state, he turned into a weenie. He had assassin quality. I thought he was about to be the next assassin, but it changed.
Shoot.
Man, listen, all them
Yeah.
dudes.
We talking about it though. We talking about what's LeBron, a small forward? Would y'all classify him as small forward?
Whatever he wants to be. That's another thing of his greatness. This man can play 5 positions. Like, think about that.
He
Think
can't
about
play
think
shooting
about that.
guard.
Why can't he?
I don't know. I would leave him open from the 3.
What? Why? You lose?
Now, I ain't gonna say, now you're going a little too far. I ain't gonna say he'll lose, but he'll be. I don't know, bro.
If
And
you
I'm
let
not saying leave him open, but I'm saying as far as a shooting guard who's going to be able to be a threat from outside, I know a lot of other ones that can do it. But I get what you're saying. He can be either position, but as far as an offense, when you're talking all those different players, he's not a shooter.
Here's why I'm gonna disagree, because is he gonna sit if you can't leave LeBron off the ball and help off of him? Like, you can't use that guy as a help defender, because he's either going to hit shots or he's going to back cut the shit out of you. His IQ is LeBron is going to find a way to make an impact on the game. So he can play. What guy in NBA history other than Magic? No, let me rephrase. What guy in NBA history can offensively play 5 positions and guard 5 positions?
Nobody but LeBron.
Magic.
How is
You
that
just
not
said other
considered?
than
How does
Magic.
that not? How does that? No. Magic can't guard 5 positions. Magic couldn't guard Kareem back in the day. Like, nah. So how does that not? How are these things not factored into greatness? Like, I feel like this is something that we look at LeBron and we're like, damn, he's really good because of that. But if LeBron would have been first and LeBron would have been doing that and winning that way, and Michael came along and started playing like Mike, we would have been like, oh, Mike's really good, but he can't do what LeBron does. He doesn't guard the 5. So that
Brian
does
couldn't
play
guard the fives
into.
back in the day, bro. Now, we gonna stop that now. I ain't trying to. There's a different set of 7-footers that did way more footwork and skill. All those centers now in the NBA are more pick and roll players.
Listen,
They don't have skills. They're more pick and roll. I'm gonna set some boards. I'm gonna score that way. It's not scoring. There's not that many centers that Brown would have to guard today. Like Brown not guarding Boogie Cousins all game. No, he's not. No.
listen. Well, that's not what I'm saying. You could put LeBron on Patrick Ewing, and I'm not saying he's going to shut Patrick Ewing down, but it's not going to be something that, as a coach, I'm sitting here like, damn, they're going to throw to him the ball every time. That's a mismatch. Patrick Ewing is a great. Patrick Ewing is still going to do his numbers, but LeBron, he's not just going to be over here picking on LeBron.
I can say that, but they don't have times Magic don't have to guard bigs, and they wasn't picking on him neither. So we ain't, like, for a couple possessions,
Magic
you
was
could
too
switch
light in
on a
the
big
ass.
and hold your own for a couple possessions. I think MJ could do
No.
that for a
I'm
couple
talking about you
possessions.
could match LeBron up. You could match LeBron up with Patrick Ewing.
No,
Like, match him up. I'm not talking about switch on to him. I'm not talking about. I'm not saying again. Not saying you're gonna shut him down. But what I'm saying is LeBron can do that. He is hands down the most versatile basketball to ever play the game, and that's just not valued as a standard of greatness because Mike
There'll be
wasn't that
more.
way. He
no.
just wasn't, and that's why when people say, "Oh, LeBron's more like Magic," if Magic was the GOAT, then LeBron would be held more in regard like Kobe, and he'd be like people like. Honestly, Kobe's amazing too, but Kobe wouldn't have all them rings without Shaq. Like, stop it.
But Shaq wouldn't have all the rings without Kobe.
Yeah,
Why he
so
wouldn't?
don't get it twisted.
Cause,
Don't
Why
get it
why
because
wouldn't
how
he?
twisted.
many rings Shaq got without Kobe? One.
Do you
Listen,
know how many times we had to save Shaq's butt because of the free throws? Come on, bro.
listen,
Like Kobe and
listen.
Kobe, you got to look at Kobe's
Bro, we
semi-finals.
literally almost lost finals because of Hack a Shaq.
Listen.
Literally.
Who's we?
As in Lakers fans since 2 years old.
I didn't know you was a Laker fan. I'm like, damn.
I'm from St. Louis. We don't got a team.
Yeah, that's what, okay.
I've been with. I'm gonna tell you now. They don't get to as many finals. Kobe had to take over in conference finals and semis on their way to those finals, where Kobe led the team in scoring in some of those conference finals and semifinal games. Like he was the leader in scoring points. Like they finished the playoffs with the same amount of points a lot of times in the playoffs during their run too.
I say Shaq's getting as many without Kobe in the sense not that Kobe wasn't an integral part of what was going on. That's undebatable. I'm saying that Kobe was far more replaceable than Shaq, and we saw it as soon as Shaq left the Lakers. So
I'm saying he caught Dwayne Wade, a new type of guard we hadn't seen in a long time, in a conference where it was none but Paul Pierce is guarding him. So him going there, Dwayne Wade did a lot for Shaq. Dwayne Wade was a hell of a player, like crazy,
That final Shaq one? Come on, man.
crazy. That was more D Wade than Shaq. So what I'm saying is, at that time, it wasn't
wait.
as
Time out. The finals was more D Wade than Shaq, like that final series, or the whole team.
Shaq. I'm talking about
That finals for sure.
The
D
year
Wade was shooting
the
like
final.
25 free throws a game.
Nah, that finals was one of the greatest finals performances of all time, top 5 in my opinion. But Shaq should have been the MVP of the league as soon as he got to Miami. So let's not act like D Wade was carrying Shaq. D Wade carried that team in the finals, but
let's not act like Shaq was not given a better situation than Kobe was left with and had to develop. Paul Gasol is a great player, but let's not act like what they did there.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I said Kobe would have not had 5 rings without Shaq. Shaq went everywhere Shaq was.
No, but you did just. But you said that Shaq would have just as many rings without Kobe. I don't think so.
No. I said if you replaced, I meant if you replaced Kobe. And we saw Shaq win. He didn't win it all. We saw Shaq get very close with Penny Hardaway in their 3rd year in the league. We saw Shaq win with D Wade. Kobe, if you has won with one other set of teammates. To Kobe's not to.
Bro, but here's the thing. What you gotta realize what he was saying in those Western Conference Finals and divisional, y'all, the Wolves. Y'all lost to the Lakers every year, first round. When Kobe's going against those guys, Shaq is there. It's like one big man going at it. Shaq, David Robinson, Tim Duncan, Chris Webber, right? They're going at it with Shaq. Different players on different teams. Kobe's literally killing an entire guard set. I'm talking everything.
You forgot about Ruben Patterson from Portland, the Kobe stopper that was getting his head buzzed. The Kobe, come on, man! Don't disrespect. R.I.P.
I disagree.
I'm not saying Kobe wasn't Kobe. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying Shaq was the catalyst. Shaq was the man on that team.
I'm saying you're taking everything from that dumb stat everybody posts about the final stats and Shaq doing everything that final.
Because even other than the first finals, Kobe was average. It was killing too.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Kobe was not. Shaq needed Kobe. Kobe needed Shaq. Facts.
Right. That's facts.
Shaq could have taken Dwayne Wade or Penny Hardaway. There was no other Shaq in the league.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
And that's where I'm letting you know right there, that completely depends on the conference as well. Because that Western Conference was a dog back then.
David Robinson was towards the end of his days. Tim Duncan was just coming up. The conference was good, but the Lakers 3-peat team was in a pocket of time when there was a transition, like David Robinson and Tim Duncan won one in that lockout year, Tim Duncan's rookie year or second year, whatever it was. And then by the time after that, David Robinson was pretty much it was sad for David Robinson.
Yeah, he was
and then Hakeem was gone. Who are the other centers in the league at that time? Because that was the golden era of the power forward for real.
Right.
Yeah, Rasheed, Chris Webber, all those power forwards was nice at that time. I ain't even gonna lie. That was a power forward.
And it was really the golden era of the 2-3 of the wing of the scoring wing too. Like after Mike had done his exodus, then you started to have guys like Paul Pierce, like McGrady, like even I'll say Jalen Rose, like Kobe, like Penny, even though he got hurt. D Wade started coming through shortly thereafter. There was no dude who was like Shaq. And that's not to diminish Kobe's role. I'm just saying who was like Shaq at the time.
Nobody.
I can't really think of anybody, to be real.
Who did
no
Shaq
one's ever
have to match
that?
I'll even say maybe part of the reason Shaq was so dominant is because of the lack of competition to a degree. Like there was no one that could even have a prayer with him at the time.
He would have did the same thing as
all NBA teams to see.
He probably would have, but I'm just saying like he came like those years at least. I mean, he was doing the same thing when Hakeem and all them dudes were in the league. So it's not to say
He
that
was
he
so
wouldn't have.
small. Shaq. I mean, Shaq turned into a
Jack the
damn
most dominant player,
monster.
Yeah.
dominant player
Like, I
since
don't know what he
Giannis.
was.
Shaq
He
was like
came in like an
Dwight
athletic
Howard.
big.
He was like Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just switched
Yeah, he was
up
like Dwight
and
Howard.
just became a Megatron.
Man,
Low key,
so
Dwight Howard, low key was kind of overrated though, but I ain't gonna get into that neither.
nah,
Low key.
I mean, I
I
wasn't
don't
I wasn't
remember
meaning to
that game.
diminish. You don't think he overrated?
Man, Dwight Howard, they're talking like Dwight Howard was the next Shaq averaging 17 a game.
Well, okay, I won't
And
say
he,
he's like Shaq, but he could play. I think a lot of it was mental for him, in my opinion. You saw a glimpse
I
of it
think
with the
Dwight Howard is
Lakers.
just what I was
He
talking
could
about with the
play.
bigs and
I I
nowadays.
I,
Like Dwight
I
Howard is like a DeAndre Jordan, except better.
Mm.
Like all he was scoring off that Stan
he
Van
was
Gundy
better
pick
than
and pop. He
DeAndre
had a
Jordan.
lot of shooters around him. He was doing a lot
No,
of pick and
stop
roll.
it,
He was doing
Dame.
like
Stop it,
pivots
Man,
from the
Dame.
come on,
line.
man. Rashard Lewis,
Tell him,
Turkey
He was
Lewis.
doing
tell
some
this
stuff.
man.
He was
What you
doing
about to
some
say?
stuff. He had some
Man,
pivots and
stop
some
it,
movement.
man. That
That
dude, come
whole
on, fam.
offense was centered around Dwight Howard, and he put 4 shooters around. Stop that. Stop that. Don't
Bro,
do
Man,
Dwight
stop
what,
it,
like
bro?
man.
that.
He was getting a lot of
Jordan,
buckets off Rafer Alston and Jameer Nelson dropping them
Stop
off the screen
it.
and roll. Come on, man.
Stop
We
it.
ain't gonna do this like he was just a bucket on the block. No.
Nah, but
Nah,
hey,
he wasn't.
I want to have a real debate because I know you a big KG guy, huh, Jordan?
Yeah, I'm biased. But I
You
still keep it
biased?
real though. I'll admit
Okay,
I'm
well then
biased towards KG.
can you keep it real quick? Because I'm low key.
Hit him with it.
I've been
Hit him
scared to
with
have
what
a
you told.
conversation with a lot of people in Minnesota. So I just want to know maybe your top 3, 4, maybe 5 power forwards you think
Ooh,
historically, because I think
that's one of my.
one of the power forward and point guard, in my opinion, are 2 hard positions to, go at it. And if you had to list like
I
power
I
forwards, even 3, you can go to
I
5.
I, I'll go 5. I love power forward because, like I said, I grew up like in the golden age of that power forward. NKG was here, so I was at
Mm-hmm.
them games. I went to a lot of them games when he played Duncan. But man, is it my list or do I? You know what I'm saying? How are we doing it based on career or is it what I think goes into? Because is it career or is it ability?
I want you to
Ability.
go. No, you say yours. Add it all together. I want to hear yours just
Add
like your top 5. We ain't gonna even
add
try
it
to.
all together.
Yeah,
All
top
right.
5.
I mean, if you add it all together, it's hard not to take Timmy D at 1, just with 5 rings, Catalyst, Dynasty, all that. 2 after that, man, it gets dicey.
It's gonna start getting wild.
Man, at 2, I gotta go. I gotta go with Mailman. Because he scored. He First of all, he's the all-time leading scorer in NBA history, 2-time MVP. Only reason he doesn't have a championship is because of Jordan. And then on top of that, he really ushered in that era. I don't think he gets enough credit for ushering in that era of power forward. He scored in 8 different ways. The man played back to he had a low post repertoire. He's picking and popping. He's playing out the elbow. He's passing out the elbow. He's sprinting the floor like no power forward has ever sprinted the floor then and since. He's playing, and obviously people always, I hate that Travis was like, he had Stockton. Like, nah, that man scored in every way you wanted him to. He passed out the low
Exactly.
post. He even faced you up, put it on the floor. He'll dunk on you. His game was ugly, but he was hella efficient. So I'll go Malone with 2. This is where I get biased. I go KG at 3. That's the bias. I would have no problem with someone moving KG. I go KG at 3 just because, again, he's more of a Bron type with his versatility. He did handle the ball. He guarded guards back in the day in Minnesota. Like, he would switch out on the guards. You remember
Yeah.
he's smacking the floor on them and doing it. 4, I'll go Barkley. I'll go Barkley, just because he might be a 3, honestly. Again, versatility. He's 6'4", leading the league in rebounding, MVP, shooting it. Man, he's in the passing lanes. He's doing everything too. And then 5,
He
I'll probably
lost
go
their
Steph.
game for him too in the finals too, trying to go for a steal.
Yeah. That was him that went for that.
Oh, that
Yeah.
was him. No, I didn't know that. Who was your 5th?
5th, I'll probably go. Is Pau Gasol the power forward?
Yep.
Yeah.
5, I'll probably go with Powell over Dirk slightly just because I think Powell was a better defender. I think Powell was better on the low block, but Dirk unquestionably is better offensively. But either way, I'll put those two tied for fifth. Can I do that?
You could do that.
Yeah, I'll put those two
You
tied.
got Dame, or I can go. Well, you said I agree. The first one, Timmy D. I feel like Timmy D undisputed. My number two gonna be shoot. My number two is probably gonna be Chuck Barkley. I like Barkley at 2. My number 3, personally, is Dirk. Number 4, Karl Malone. Number 5, KG.
I cannot get behind Dirk above Karl Malone in no way, shape. I just can't do it.
Nah.
Why you got Dirk above Karl Malone?
Different. Just different.
Change the game.
No one could guard him.
And you could argue
No one
Dirk
could
changed
guard
the game,
Malone.
but you could argue Dirk
They
changed the
lost.
game for Euros. Like
What?
you changed the game for
I mean,
European players. Like a lot
Karl
of
Malone changed
before
it for
Dirk, a lot of
Americans.
your, huh?
Karl Malone changed it for Americans.
I'm not discrediting Karl Malone in no way, shape, or form, but also I did see a little bit of Karl Malone at the end of his game when he was old with the Lakers, and then I've looked up stuff and what he did with the Jazz, but in my opinion, skill wise, bucket wise, like defensively, like say what you want about Dirk not being able to guard. I never heard it across the league from guys saying Dirk couldn't guard him.
Dirk
Hey,
couldn't guard nobody.
who's
You
Dirk's
assume he
Dirk's
couldn't
second
guard
best
anybody, but he went
teammate?
out there dunking on people.
Who have you
Who's
heard?
Dirk's second best teammate, fam?
Who have you heard just can't guard anybody? When do guys across the league just come out and say a great can't guard somebody?
I'm just saying. So why do we assume he can't guard nobody? You just said he wasn't even top 5 because of defensively.
Because KG, one, I've seen Dirk move his feet. I've watched games. 2,
Yeah.
I've seen KG have some of his best nights and Timmy D against Dirk. He's not an obstacle. 3, I've seen other guys on Dirk's team match up with those guys as those guys match up with Dirk.
Oh, so that's your reason behind that. But so you're taking I don't take KG over Dirk. That's my opinion.
That's fine.
I don't think that's true.
My bad. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I don't think it. I'm taking Dirk. If I start a franchise at all the beginning of all their careers, I'm taking Dirk. Timmy D, then Dirk is my number 2 pick.
Can I say something about Dirk?
I don't have a problem with Dirk over KG. Over the Malone.
But it's Karl Malone. You think Karl Malone is that much better than Dirk? You don't think Dirk could have done the same thing, but even more points because it wouldn't have been a mid-range that he was hitting from the drop-off pass?
I think if you're talking about skill set, then yeah, skill set is always going to advance as time goes on. So I'm not necessarily looking at skill set. I don't think that Dirk's game is near like Karl Malone could do we fawn over Dirk
like
shooting these one-legged. We fawn over Dirk shooting these one-legged fadeaway and it looks pretty and all that. Karl Malone was doing that far before Dirk. And everything that Karl Malone brought to the table was much better than Dirk. He was a better rebounder. He runs all the things I mentioned. He does everything better than Dirk other than shoot the basketball. And it's just from that, like if we're talking about Dirk won 1 championship in career, it's like, all right, then that goes back into I think too much winning is put on. And I'm not saying you said that, but like too much emphasis is put on winning when it's like Dirk wasn't going to beat MJ. So Karl Malone ran into that matters sometimes. The timing matters.
Who's telling that?
At the same time, let's run it back.
Better than LeBron now? You just said LeBron was better. What's the difference?
Why is MJ better than LeBron now?
Well, you just said it's such an obstacle to beat MJ by Malone.
No, because I already said
Dirk did it. Bron, and Bron's your goat.
said MJ was a better winner than Bron. Like MJ is the ultimate winner. I just said that I will take LeBron as my GOAT. I didn't say he was more of a winner than MJ.
I remember vividly LeBron trying to guard Dirk a few times in the finals and it didn't end well.
No, for sure. I mean, he's a professional scorer, so it's like you can.
So it's
again, it wouldn't have ended well if Karl
Malone. You think LeBron could guard Karl Malone?
I think it would have been similar. I'm comfortable with the matchup. but he's not going to shut these guys down. These are the greatest players of all time. There's nobody in the world that is going to end well for more times.
Well, I don't know, JT. Because here's the thing. I'm a Lakers fan, and I think you just put the ultimate disrespect by saying Paul Gasol is potentially better than Dirk Nowitzki.
That's no.
I said cap, though. I ain't gonna lie, that's cap.
That's
I didn't
big
say
cap.
I didn't say he was a better basketball. You asked me everything put together, career plus ability. Paul Gasol has how many championship rings?
No, time out. We're gonna end all this. Let me
Basketball players, just basketball players. I don't care about career ability. Who's the better basketball players in between the lines? That's
and
all I ever.
I thought we not doing
like
championships.
For what I like as an all-around basketball player, I think Paul Gasol and Dirk are very comparable. Just in terms, Dirk is he's a one-way player. He's amazing. I love Dirk. I love to watch Dirk. I don't think he's better than Karl Malone. But again, if you want to put him above Paul Gasol, I would be like, all right, yeah, that's cool. I wouldn't trip. If you put him above KG, I wouldn't trip.
I think the argument needs to be made with Karl because, like, Powell, here's the thing with Powell. He had his head down all the time. The dude was always sad, depressed. This dude, Dirk, never looked like he was rattled, bro. He was always going at it. Like, Dirk was Dirk. Dirk had not to be weird about it, Dirk had a black wife. He was with it. Care, bro. He was about that life.
See, and again, y'all don't remember Dirk with the black wife freezing up when he saw a bunch of black Golden State players?
Fam.
Oh, we forgot. No. We forgot about that.
Y'all are. I'm looking at what you saying about Dirk.
You saying he with it. This man showed up with an 8-point performance and folded up an entire series against Golden State. Dirk is amazing.
You forget Dirk had multiple obstacles to get. Like, we can't say the championships things where we saying Karl Malone didn't get championship because MJ. Dirk had to go through Tim Duncan, Kobe, and Shaq in the same conference. So it was going to be impossible for Dirk to win multiple ships during that era anyway.
But
it's like the same thing with the MJ effect.
He came out in the power forward era.
I only brought up and it's probably still unfair. I only brought up championships for Dirk as it relates to Pau Gasol. I didn't bring up championships for any of those dudes except Tim Duncan because he's so far ahead. I got a power forward
better than Pau Gasol right now, and nobody ain't gonna agree. But it's Rasheed Wallace.
Chris Webber.
Rasheed Wallace better than Pau Gasol, man.
I think Chris Webber is. I think Chris Webber is personally.
Yeah, that's cool too.
But I think what you're saying, the argument you're saying about Dirk coming up in the West, like that's like you talking about LeBron having to beat all these people. We're talking about the power forward era. We're talking about a dude from Germany. Look back at what Dirk had to go through. He came over here. You got people bonding over KG. He's so athletic. Tim Duncan, the big fundamental. Chris Webber coming from Michigan. These are all our hometown guys. Dirk had to come to the league and bring a style that was never seen. Like you talk about Karl Malone was doing what he was doing back then. Yeah, Karl Malone had good footwork, but it does not mean the footwork that Dirk was incorporating is completely different than anything we've seen.
Dude, Dirk's style had been seen. It was different in the sense that he stretched the floor even more. But the style had been seen. Don't do that. He was still a stretch four-man. He was shooting jumpers as a four-man. KG was a jump shooter.
Bro. I need you to
jump shooter.
Those
Karl
clips.
Malone was a capable jump shooter.
No.
Jump shooters.
No. Just because Karl Malone was shooting jumpers does not mean he was going in there 2 feet off the back foot, pivot off the back. They weren't doing that. You're not going to find me footage of that.
Dude, you talking about specific moves, but the style was not that much different. Like he wasn't bringing a style of player that had never been seen. He brought moves that had never been seen.
I just told you. Yes, he was. No bigs were doing stuff like that.
Don't do that. But I don't know.
No bigs were doing stuff like that back in the day. No bigs were doing that. They weren't doing that.
Doing what?
Doing what Dirk did is not just stretching the floor. You think it's just because he won a 3-point contest. No, it's not just that. He was taking them from the block back to 3-point.
I didn't even know he won a 3-point contest. So, like,
I
again,
about that too. I ain't gonna lie
to me, it has nothing to do with that.
You want to know why? Because y'all boys don't want to give him his flowers. That's my opinion. The NBA don't want to give
flowers.
You don't want to give Dirk his flowers, bro.
What do you want me to do for Dirk? What do you want me to do for him?
The boy came up in the power forward golden era. He made a name for himself as one of the best to come out of there. He took a ship from Bron. He won a 3-point contest as a 7-footer, and he was consistent his whole career.
Listen,
What's
what do you want me to
KG?
say? I
Why
said he
was KG so much better, in your opinion?
I never said KG was so much better.
Well, that was your first top 5. So let me know why you even think that he's like number 2 or.
I straight up said that I have a KG bias.
All right, well, bias out. I don't got no bias. Bias out.
Then I'm like, bias out. Then if you want to put Dirk above KG, I gave him his flower. What else? He's a top 5 player. What other flowers you want me to give him? Top 5 players.
I'm just, bro. You you started this by saying that Powell and
You
Dirk.
didn't like
Paul,
Powell.
I ain't gonna lie. I think he got stuck on that Powell thing. Like he
Definitely
and
got.
Powell
I
in the
said
top
take Powell
5.
out.
All right, Powell. So well, then give me another top 5. Where's Dirk? Where's Dirk at?
You can put him at 5.
5?
You can put him at 5. I can't
I
put
give
him
him that.
above.
I think he's higher than 5
Listen,
though.
and I didn't even mention all this stuff about him going through the West and all. I didn't even mention winning for any of those dudes except Karl. I mentioned Tim Duncan because he won, and Karl Malone would have been a winner if it wasn't for the best winner of all time.
No, yeah, I ain't been talking winning because I think so much goes into that. I'm just talking hoops. Like I'm talking ball player. You had to draft them all at the beginning of their career again.
I think I'll give you like what you're talking about. Dirk brought a different like flavor of what already existed, but he didn't like revolutionize. He didn't revolutionize the power forward position. Like he didn't. I'm sorry, he didn't. All those dudes. Rasheed Wallace was shooting threes too. Like he was doing the same things that Dirk was doing. They were different moves, but the style was the same. Chris Webber was even stepping back there. So Dirk is amazing. Dirk revolutionized for Europeans, but he didn't revolutionize the position, in my opinion. Like he definitely advanced it. I'll give you that. He advanced it, but he didn't revolutionize it. Like Karl Malone really was the first of that mold. Who was before Karl Malone picked? And Dirk is, don't get it twisted. Dirk's a far better jump shooter than Karl Malone, but Karl Malone was a capable jump shooter. Like Moses Malone was Karl Malone. He wasn't like that. And I didn't even. And let me stop.
On the block. Maybe I need to see more Karl Malone footage. I remember a lot of dump offs from Stockton, and he shot a lot of jumpers at the elbow and a lot of pivot, fade like that. That's like the only 2 moves I've seen Karl Malone do.
Karl Malone low key had a style.
Nah, you ain't gonna pull that Travis Blessard here. You ain't gonna disrespect Karl Malone.
Don't do that.
Bro.
Have you seen Karl Malone run the floor?
I've seen him run the floor.
Who runs the floor better than him?
Nobody runs the floor.
That man was a damn deer out there. That man, like, listen, Stockton benefited. I'm just saying, I don't think Dirk's amazing. Don't get it. I'm not bashing Dirk. I'm not putting him down. He's top 5. You could take Powell out there. Like, I don't. Powell honestly just popped into my head, probably because we were just talking about the Lakers, and I enjoy Powell, and I'll say Powell's more of a complete player than Dirk, but at the same time, I will say that I don't think Powell could do the things that Dirk did as the best player on his team, if that makes sense. So maybe because of that,
if Karl Malone didn't have Stockton, could he have done the same things as the best player on his team?
Let's stop it there. You don't even need the answer.
Yes, I'm not. I can't do that again. I already did that with Travis. Like Karl Malone was a dog. His game was ugly, but like no, Karl Malone was a different animal, man. I think Karl Malone made Stockton more than Stockton made Karl. I mean, again, same as Shaq, Kobe. They both needed each other. Like I don't even like those type of conversations because it always sounds like you diminishing one dude, and that's not like. I appreciate all those dudes are amazing, but
then that's easy into the last question. Top PGs right there because I didn't see that. I don't want this one to go too crazy.
Oh man,
And first, before this weird thing where people saying Steph Curry not a point guard, I say he's a point guard. So like include him in your list.
I agree.
He should be.
Man,
he's in there.
That one. Ironically, that's
your top 5 PGs.
I'll go Magic, Isaiah, Steph, Gary Payton, and I'm thinking because I do not want to forget somebody. Hold up, man. I'll go those 4.
Dang, smiling. He ready to give his. He ready.
I gotta go, and
I
I'm gonna
just
go.
know he ain't
I'm
about
gonna
to
go.
say
I'm gonna go.
Stockton.
I'm gonna go with CP.
You got a good 5. I like your 5. That's a good 5.
Go with CP.
Magic, Isaiah, Steph. The fourth. Who's your fourth?
Gary Payton and CP.
Gary Payton, and then
Yeah.
that's a good 5. What you got? Well, I say mine quick. I got Magic, Steph, Isaiah. Ooh, I'm gonna lose a few people. Nash.
Ooh.
Oh, sorry. I gotta let you know who my 5th is up in the air. It's either CP3 or J Kid for me.
Honestly, Nash and J Kidd both escaped my mind. I'd say I could honestly. I'm gonna take GP. Man, no, I'm not. I'm good with mine. Never mind.
Am I already on 5? That was way too quick. Magic, Steph, Zay. Dang it. Magic, Steph, Zay, Steve Nash, J Kid. Oh no, I gotta put CP in there. If David Stern ain't ruined his career, he'd have 5 chips right now. I'm saying no, real rap. I'm saying I think I'm gonna push out J Kid.
You definitely a Laker fan.
Bro, come on, man. You know CP would have got that trade come through. It would have been a wrap. Kobe would have
got
had
Dwight right after too. CP and
He
Dwight
would
were
have got
first.
right after. Kobe would have had 2. Kobe would have retired. LeBron would have came there instead of Cleveland. LeBron would have brought down Melo. CP would have like 5 or 6, bro, if David Stern ain't ruined that. Don't you think?
I mean, that's a valid argument. That's definitely valid.
I mean, he went to the Clippers and that shit, there was no chance. It don't matter how good the Clippers got, bro. They weren't about to win in LA.
Bro, me and Trev just had this conversation. How many times do you think the Clippers were legit title contenders?
1.
I think it was like 1 year.
Trev was like,
and that was the year they beat the Spurs.
Yeah, in the first 2014, right? Trev tried to
when they got hot.
Trev tried to tell me he was a legit title contender 4 or 5 times. I was like, bro,
no. Well, what team? The Clippers?
Clippers and the Rockets. CP alone. I was like, no.
No. It was
CP
fun, though.
For the
It was
Rockets,
fun.
Who your 5, Dane?
Yeah, bro. Finish it out. What's your 5?
I got Magic, Isaiah, Steph, CP3. And who's my 5th? Oof.
We had J Kid and Nash. And
yeah, I think Kid my 5th. Because I said Kid was a walking triple-double.
Kid was a dog when I was growing up. I kind of wanted to be like him as a point guard. So it's hard to not put him in top 5 too.
Man, Nash completely slipped my mind.
Nash was different. I mean, being in the Western Conference during that time, that was during when Shaq was gone, when the Lakers had to battle them boys. But that was D'Antoni. D'Antoni always had teams that scored like 140 points.
Hold on, is James Harden a point guard?
No. I
think I classify him as 2 guard.
2. He's a 2.
Westbrook and CP3, they the point guard.
You think James Harden the top 5 2 guard of all time?
I was gonna have to redo my whole list. Yeah.
He a top 5 2 guard. If y'all putting D Wade at number 2, then James Harden top 5, bro.
No, D Wade not number 2. Number 1 is MJ. 2 is Kobe.
Oh yeah.
James Harden, the top 5 point guard and shooting guard.
Man, all right, y'all. I think it's my time on this podcast.
It might be time. Hey, no, that might be
James Harden.
That's like the hybrid position. He might be right.
He's a top any way you want to slice it. James Harden in there. That man a killer.
Man, James Harden. I ain't gonna even get into James Harden. Not my style, so I'm not gonna get into it.
LeBron a top 5 center, power forward, small forward, shoot.
See, that's what the disrespect stuff.
Dame, I get what you're saying, bro, but I hate when people disrespect James Harden, man. Like, I get he might not be your style, but think about actual basketball development and the stuff that man can do with a basketball. Like, his game's so far ahead.
And it's not, and on top of that, he's winning with the style. Like, not champion, but he's winning. So it's not like he playing like that on some bum ass teams.
So y'all think James Harden will ever win a chip?
I don't think anybody under 6'4" wins a chip as the best player on their team except Steph and Isaiah. And Steph low key arguably got lucky that Kyrie and Kevin Love was hurt. But we'll never know. You gotta give it to him.
Bro, it just this day and age, bro, it just matter who's with who,
I don't know
bro.
how you can say that make that comment though. I ain't gonna even lie to you though. Like a player they could have someone win a chip under 6'5" nowadays more than
As the
any
best player
time
on their
period.
team? As the best player on their
Yeah,
team?
more than
All
any
right, well,
time.
when it happens,
So
let
you
me know.
basically saying all the best players in the league can't never win a chip because most of the best players in the league is guards right now. There's not
But
that
right
many
now it's
wings.
like KD and then
KD,
LeBron.
Kawhi, Giannis, LeBron. That's it.
And that's it.
Yeah,
KD.
exactly.
So you saying all these
Who's
other dudes that's the
Dane?
guards because the rest
Dane.
of the
Tell me
top
who's
10 is
won. Tell
guards.
me who's won championships since 2000. Who is under 6 feet or who's under 6'4" as the best player on their
Man, the
team?
same team. If you look at it, 2000, the same people won chips.
Tell me since 1985 who's won a chip as the best had a 6'4" and under player on their team, best player on their team. How many people? How
Man,
many
we can
teams?
look back forever, and it's gonna be the same results because most of the time the same team, same players are the ones winning. It's not
Yes,
like
because they
everybody
have
just
the
gonna
best.
win it,
Because
win
they
in and
have the
win out.
best. Because they have the best big players. It's a big
And
It's
man
true.
Detroit,
game.
like you
Little.
said, the Detroit Pistons was an outlier. The reason why it was an outlier because at the time, I mean, you
Don't
look
say
at it,
Chauncey
they
Billups.
had
Do
they
not
had
say
the right
Chauncey
players
Billups.
around it.
Don't
If
say
if
Chauncey
James
Billups.
Harden if James Harden get the right people around him like Isaiah and Steph did, where they got role players that understand their roles, they got elite level role players. You can win a shit with a 6'4",
What does
6'5"
James
best
Harden
player.
have around him?
He got that's more of a right now. He got enough. He had enough 2 years ago. The year before KD got to Golden State, he had enough to beat Golden
No,
State.
they had enough. Like, don't get it twisted. That's why I say James Harden is still has a case for the best player in the last 5 years. He's the only player to even come to get that close to beating the Warriors to take them 7 games with KD. Only player.
I just don't never think he's going to win a ship personally, regardless.
I don't think he is either because I don't think little people can win.
I just don't think they're going to ever have the right people that's going to complement his style fully. Like, you could get
Listen,
it's hard to get just all shooters around him. You need people that complement him better. I don't think they're going to find the right compliments.
Listen, it all goes back to the standards, and people have dogged out Chris Paul for not being able to win. Little people don't win. Steve Nash did not win. They had the best team in the NBA at one point. Chris Paul, he can have all the drive, all the dog in the world. If you put Chris Paul next to Michael Jordan, LeBron James, they're just better. Because if you put those dudes who are just as skilled, just as good, and then you add 6 inches and 20 pounds, they're just better. The
You
game
can't say
basketball
that,
is a
though, when
big
you
man's
said
game.
Isaiah. Isaiah won one during the Jordan era and the
The
era with
one,
the best players. Two. You won two.
no, I'm talking about
He,
that's the one. That's the one guy.
and I
That's
think
the
they can
one
have
guy.
other guys do that. Like right now, it's not what players you see in the NBA that's
And
going.
and
Who would have won the
and
ship this year? Then who you
and
got winning the ship this year?
either Lakers or Clippers or Bucks or whoever has big people. Pick somebody. Who you want? Who has big
So
people?
you don't think James if
No,
James Harden
no,
had better
no,
better
no,
man,
no,
come on, man.
no,
Dang, nah.
no.
I ain't gonna just say I can't say that it's guaranteed to have whoever
Because
have
I don't,
now. Not
they
nowadays.
wouldn't have
It's
got
more
through the
spaced out in
Clippers.
the game. The
They wouldn't have
game
got through the
made for
Clippers
guards
anyway.
now.
And all the big people are guards. Like, what you mean? LeBron is a guard. Kawhi is a guard.
And
Like,
LeBron is old now. Like LeBron needed. If LeBron don't have AD, we're not talking about LeBron winning the ship neither.
like even after that, Luka, Ben Simmons, it's gonna be one of these dudes who's like a big guard. Little guys just it's hard for little people to win, man. They're little. Like when it
How
comes to
many how
playoff
many chips
basketball.
Giannis getting, Dame? He a big guy. You love Giannis. When
Yeah,
Giannis getting his first chip.
but Giannis, I don't think Giannis gonna ever win the ship. Giannis don't got the right pieces around him because Middleton ain't gonna cut it. Like I'm gonna keep screaming it out loud. Middleton ain't gonna be enough.
And
And
even
Giannis, they wasting the most dominant player since Shaq potential right now.
and even yeah,
Stop
okay.
saying he the most dominant player since Shaq, bro. Giannis not the
Right.
most dominant player since Shaq. LeBron literally is still playing.
Yeah, that's hella
All right,
disrespectful. And that's
I'm
disrespectful. That's disrespectful to Kobe.
It's true.
the Kobe.
That's
Yeah.
disrespectful to Kobe.
Kobe wasn't more dominant than Giannis. Giannis, when you see some people that something that you don't see before, then is a different type of dominance. Like Giannis is something we don't
Yeah,
normally
Kobe
see.
averaged like 50 for a month.
What
No,
he
no,
did
Kobe
during
was
that
the
stretch
elite
of
level.
07, 08, crazy.
What is
06,
Kobe dominated, but he wasn't dominant. If that makes sense, like he dominated
what?
the game.
It's the same one. It's just different
Is
bird
Giannis
form.
is Giannis is Giannis? I don't know why Giannis gets so much more love than James Harden. Like, is Giannis more dominant than James Harden? What has Giannis done that James Harden has not?
That's a question for Dan because I had that same question.
Like, we want
What
to
you
put
mean?
Giannis on this pedestal because he's younger, I guess. But like, what has Giannis done right since? What
You
has
just
Giannis
you
done?
just answered it. You just answered it about a 7. You said people under 6'4", 6'5" ain't winning.
Don't
You
win,
got a seven
don't
foot
win. I
freak
didn't
out
say
there.
anything about dominance. I didn't say
No,
anything
I'm
about
just saying you
dominance.
got a 7 foot freak doing the same stuff as these 6'4" dudes. That's what you just said.
I did, and
How
I
you gonna
think
tell me he's
Giannis has
not
a better.
dominant?
No, but we talking about dominating the game. James Harden is
I,
dominating the game. He's
I
averaging
feel like I
38 the
just watched
last
the
2 years.
Bucks. Have you not looked at the Bucks' margin of victories in these wins they've been having this year? Their
Listen, and
margin of
again,
victory is damn near double figures. If
team
not, it
wins,
is.
and again for me, team wins is not a stat for individual dominance. I'm sorry, it's just not. It's
Not at
just
Yeah,
all.
team
it's the
wins
same.
isn't.
It's the same when people try and use quarterback wins as a stat. It's not a stat. Tom
No,
Brady,
team wins isn't
Tom
a
Brady
stat.
being when they show Tom Brady's 400 and 100 in the last, that's not a stat. That's not Tom Brady's stat. Like
But
that's
but
ridiculous.
Giannis' team is dominating because teams don't know what to do with Giannis. That's why he's the leading MVP guy right now.
I can agree with
Like,
that, but it's not an individual stat.
no, it's not. But I'm just
Giannis
looking
is the
at how
motor.
his team's dominating right now. He's everything's opened up because how much no team can really game plan for him now. In the finals, when he run against those 76ers with that longer team where they got enough bodies to throw at him, it's gonna be different. That's exactly what Toronto did. But honestly, you can't sit there and say Giannis
That's the
isn't
game
dominant.
plan. They game
Listen,
plan.
I see, and this is why I hate these conversations because no one did. I never said Giannis is not dominant. I said he's not the most dominant since Shaq. And when you start comparing people, people always think you diminishing the guy that you choose the other side of, and I'm not. Giannis is. I think Giannis's game is trash. I think it's ugly to watch. I don't think he has a lot of it, but he is efficient and he is a top 5, 6 player in the NBA. That's undebatable. But just for what I like to watch, it ain't Giannis. But I'm not diminishing what he does. He's amazing. He's unbelievable. But so if you want to say he's the most dominant around the rim since Shaq, cool. He's not the most dominant player since Shaq.
All right. All right, we could go that route then. He the most
That's a
dominant
good.
around the
That's a
rim,
good way
even
to put
though
it. He's definitely the
he's
most dominant
still
around the
the
rim.
most
Cool.
dominant player, bro. You cannot guard this man. I'm sorry. No
You
matter
can't.
what they throw at him, they cannot guard him. Playoff times when the referee indifferent, they might could slow him down, but his problem is he don't have a good enough number 2 to win, and that's
If
his
you
problem.
know how you guard
No, I
him, you know
think
how
he also needs the skill set.
he needs a skill set because you want to know how you guard Giannis. We already seen how you guard him. The Raptors did it. You condense and you expand. So you put
Yep,
somebody long on him, you
exactly.
condense, and you turn him into a downhill passer, which he's not that great at. And as soon as he starts passing, you expand to them shooters. And that's where I agree with you. They got to get someone else other than Brook Lopez out there casting threes. That's not it. As good as Brook
Yeah.
Lopez has been, as good as Brook Lopez has been doing it, that ain't it. Because once you start running him off the line like the Raptors did, and you got Brook Lopez big ass trying to attack closeouts and snaking through stuff and shooting floaters, I'm like, ew, this is disgusting. Who thought this was a good idea for a win? Like, no. But Giannis ain't the most dominant player since Shaq, bro. No, stop it.
All right, I'm gonna start giving Giannis love. Everybody, I'm just gonna say this: if they reopen this NBA season in June, don't be surprised if you see Milwaukee winning that ship.
I'm
Because they
still
was
gonna
on the
say he's
road.
not the most dominant player since Shaq. You keep conflating two different arguments.
All
I'm
right.
not saying that Giannis
He's the
can't win.
most
I'm
dominant
saying,
since LeBron then. Since LeBron.
is he more dominant than James Harden?
Yep.
Okay, that's cool. I can get with that
I
if that's what you
completely
believe.
disagree, bro. I
Yeah,
completely.
Bro,
I
you
don't think
act like
he's.
he doesn't block shots and affect the game more than just on offense too though.
Listen,
That don't.
listen.
I'm not, again, that's like Jordan said, bro. I'm not taking nothing away from Giannis' game either. I think he plays harder than anybody I probably ever seen. Literally ever, from end to end. And I think that's also why he gets so much. Because there's a lot of guys that take plays off in the league these days. But like all the stuff he does is great. All around. He can guard anybody. When you talk about guarding 1 through 5, JT, like Giannis has potential.
You didn't say that, but when I asked the question, the only dude that popped in my mind was Giannis. Giannis is a dude who
I forgot until I just said it.
He can't play without the ball though. Like I don't think he's at that cerebral level yet,
thing.
but he'll get there. So, because honestly, I got in this argument where at first I was kind of hating on Giannis at first, and my one of my good friends was in the video coordinating room. He was like, Giannis is gonna win all these MVPs out, and this is before he started. I was like, nah, I don't know. He was like, Giannis is a dog. He works harder than anybody I ever seen, and I was like, okay, maybe, but I'm still not seeing it. So I like at first I was wrong. I was dead wrong about Giannis and in terms of the levels that he would get to, but I'm sorry, not yet.
Not yet.
He's getting there though.
He getting there, but that's it. I was about to cut off anyway, so I'm gonna end this live. Appreciate you, Dave. Appreciate you, JT.